his light. He's reading from a manuscript of scientific law. Throw away the reflect, you don't need it anymore. Free preserve, the Lord of non-belief. If he can't prove it, no one can get ready for the brief. A dedicated skeptic, we all know what that means. He's lurking in the shadows and crushing all your dreams.
Don't believe in aliens and never going to land. Don't believe in cryptids that leave footprints in the sand. Don't believe in spirits appearing from the dead. The only demons out there are living in your head. Dream crusher, the Lord of non-belief. If you can't prove it, no one can get ready for the grief. A dedicated skeptic, we all know what that means. He's lurking in the shadows and crushing all your dreams. Dream crusher, the Lord of non-belief. If you can't prove it, no one can get ready for the grief. A dedicated skeptic, we all know what that means.
What's up, everybody? Oh my god, I'm so pumped up. That music gets me going. I'm playing the air drums. No idea what I'm doing. Just hitting stuff all over the place. Luckily, I didn't hit the keyboard anywhere because who knows what that would do to the show. That would put me in panic
that
mode.
would definitely mess.
Yeah, because something would go bad and I'd be like, oh, fuck, what am I supposed to do now? Not that we haven't been in that situation before.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I screw around with the camera or something, all of a sudden, show's gone. Anyway, hello, everyone. We got a whole bunch of people. We got 50 people in the chat. Oh, my goodness. This is awesome. I love it.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to everyone. It's been
Or Saturday.
Oh, yeah, because if we're in the UK, for our UK followers, it's Saturday morning. It's 1 a.m. Whew, what are you still doing up? Oh, my God, I had to burp. Sorry. Oh, my goodness. All right, I want to say hi to some people. We got Chris Like. We got Rabababa is in the house. Michael Burkeen. What's up, buddy? There's a package on the way for you. Oh, we got Dotson 510. Nice. We got who else? Stay tuned, CC. Sorry if the music scared you. I saw your comment later on. We got Dawn of the Dead. What's up, Julie R? There's that Kenny Biddle guy. He's in there. Frankie Brooks. The Yummy Donut. Oh, my God. Now I want donuts. I want donuts. Shauna is in the house. Dr. Jim is in the house. Janice. Oh, my God. Cat Mac. Oh, it's date night Friday. Oh, and we have to remember at the end of the show, before we go, we have to debut a song. We have a song from Cat Mac for Donna. We got who else? We got Diane. Going through here really quick. We got Faith. We got oh my goodness, there's a lot of people in here. Not everyone's commenting. Where are you? Kiwi USA 64. Wow, that's a new one. I think you're new to us. Well, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Kendra's in the house. We got a lot of people. Jade Kitten. Hey, Jade Kitten. Dr. Deb. We got, oh my gosh, there's so many people. Oh, Joe Vitale's in the house. Who let him in? Didn't we try to ban him? I'm kidding. I like Joe. I like giving shit to Joe. Debunk the Junk, which is a great name. Susan is in the house. Susan Golding. Carolyn D. All right. We got a lot of people in here. I think I got most of the people. If I didn't call your name out, I apologize. But we got to get to a guest. We have a guest tonight. I can't wait. All right. But we got to go over the rules first. Rules, because if we don't have rules, we have chaos. And as much as I like it in movies, I don't like it in real life.
Me neither.
So rule number 1 is you are welcome to ask questions. That's what this show is about. Tonight, though, since we do have a guest, I ask that you please save your questions for the end of the show, or if you want to put them in
out there.
Yeah.
Just don't expect us to get to them right away.
That's Donna. See, I'm with unusual Donna over there. I wore the shirt on purpose. But yeah, you can put the questions in the chat room, but we're not going to address them until the second hour because I think we have a lot to talk about, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions too. We might go into hour 3.
I doubt it.
Oh, we might. Rule number 2 is that I don't know everything, but we can learn together. That's the point of the show. It's an educational show. Sometimes the guest doesn't know the answer to it, and that's cool. We have multiple screens. We can look stuff up. If not, I do have my notepad right here. Having a bunch of notes for the show tonight. Rule number 3 is that we follow the Patrick Swayze rule here, and that's be nice. You can be in the chat room and you can discuss things. You can have fun. Please have fun. I highly encourage that. You can debate topics and have conversations about them, but please do not devolve into name calling. We don't tolerate that. And if you get out of hand, Donna, boot your ass. Gone. Right?
Yeah, and the problem with that is I don't know how to get you back. So
she really doesn't care either.
No, you're
she's
gone
like,
for life.
if you're booted, like she's like,
whatever.
You're done. Rule number 4 is if you do have a question for tonight, please do us a favor, put a capital Q in front of it and put it in the chat, and Donna will save it for later. She'll tag it and save it, and we'll get to it in the second hour. And rule number 5 is my favorite: drink up. And for legal purposes, this is just regular tea in this cup. No, it's not. Anyway, all right. So with that, I'm going to put on my special guest tab, which I love using, and I'm going to bring in our special guest, Stevi. Hello.
Hi.
How are
I'm
you?
so excited to be here.
I'm so
I
excited.
am great.
too.
How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm pumped up, and it's not because of any rum that might be in my cup. It might be a little bit, but I'm very excited to talk about it. I love talking shop with people, especially when we get into specific topics. And we are going to get into a specific topic tonight. But first, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the conversation tonight, you are new to this show. So I would like to ask you the question that I ask every new guest to this show is, what is your origin story? So basically, how did you get to where you are? Like, you have this Truth or Demons podcast, you research people like the Warrens. Like, how did you get there? Tell us a story.
I love this question so much. So I have been into the paranormal since I was 8 years old, and I give all the credit for that to my mother and her letting me watch the movie The Entity at 8 years old.
Oh.
And it traumatized me to no end. It was terrifying, and I thought about it every day for days and days and days after the first time I saw it. Then I told everybody at school about it, which probably wasn't a good idea. But and it just fueled me from that point. Barry Taft was the first paranormal or parapsychologist I ever learned about, and I wanted to be one. I wanted to be a parapsychologist. And then my mom, like, as much as she supported the paranormal side of things, she didn't see a career in it for me. So she kind of advised I'm not going down that path. So I didn't. I did various other things. And then the Conjuring movies came out. And I knew very little about the Warrens. I would watch Paranormal State and like various TV shows where Lorraine would be on, or like old reruns of with like talk shows where they would be on. But I really didn't know anything. And then the movie comes out and they're advertising it's a true story. It's based on the Warrens cases. And I'd never really heard about any Warrens cases. I didn't know there were books and stuff. I was kind of in the dark when it came to the Warrens specifically. And then the movie just made me have so many questions. I couldn't handle the level of curiosity it ignited in me. So that's when I started the research. I did not believe for a second that this woman, Carolyn Perrin, was possessed by this entity that they were calling Bathsheba. So that was my first deep dive, was into the history and actual facts behind Bathsheba, which led to learning about Andrea being in the paranormal currently. And I was able to like look up stuff that she's done and said, and it spiraled from there. I've been in it with Nesper back and forth. They do not like me. But I just keep finding things that I can expose, and I feel like there's a lot of people out there like me that really want to know the truths. They love the paranormal, but they're tired of being lied to. They're tired of people trying to fake things and acting like it's no big deal to fake it. That drives me crazy. So that's been my goal since I started the research, is just to share the truth with people and expose the real demons, like actual demons, like money. So.
Oh, I love that.
Very good.
That was great. That was good. But you're right. You are so right. There is this community, and I disclaimer, I don't call it a field because I don't think it's a field. I think there's a very small niche that you could consider it a field, but that is good, serious study. And I think a lot of people do it as a hobby. So I usually call it a hobby. But so many people do it for doo-doo. Thank you for pointing that out. I knew as soon as I said it, I was like, damn it.
I do that all the time.
But there are so many people that are out for fame and money. They want to be in the spotlight. They want to have that pilot. They want to have the TV cameras look at them. They want to be the next Zach Baggins, which you don't, honestly, you don't want to be. You don't.
No.
So yeah, I mean, I see it all the time. We see a lot of it. I mean, a lot of this plays out in the current drama that is the Conjuring house right now. So that's a whole different story, and we won't get into that right now. But what we are here to talk about is these dolls. Annabelle.
Thank you. Over here.
Yes. And I mean, I redecorate the office just for your guest appearance. So
I love that so much.
I got to get them out of here. Actually, I'll leave them here for the cleaning people.
Oh, that'll freak
That'd
them
be
out.
the cleaning crew will come in, and I'll just have them all over the office looking at the front door. Just
there you go.
Freak them out. So we're here to talk about this. I'm talking too much. I want you to tell us, like, I guess let's start off with the original story. Can you give us a summary of the original story?
Absolutely. Okay, so when I started my podcast, my understanding of the original story, the very first telling of Annabelle, was in the 1980 book, The Demonologist by Ed Lorraine Warren and what was that? The author Gerald Brittle?
Yeah, Gerald Brittle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the book, in chapter 3, it's all about Annabelle, and that's the only part that they talk about Annabelle, and it discusses how Ed and Lorraine were contacted by some clergymen. There's various variations of this story. It was this priest or that priest or whatever. So they're contacted by a priest, and the priest is saying he has a couple of nurses that have contacted him because they are scared of a possible spirit attachment on their doll. And they explain that they think this because the doll started moving. It would show up in random places in the house, that it wasn't, she kept it on her bed, and she would come home and she'd find it in the hallway or sitting in front of the door, is one of the stories. She would say things like you said, the doll, she would come home and it would be kneeling. And the whole thing was, the doll is a rag doll. It doesn't have any rigidity in its limbs. So it's supposed to be impossible for it to kneel. And that was a big thing for them. And then the biggest thing that got them was, they said that it started turning evil on them, and their roommate or one of the boyfriends named Cal or Lou, depending on which version you read,
right,
he got scratched. Apparently he was having nightmares, and then he was physically attacked. Now, the book says he was attacked on his stomach and chest, 7 psychic slashes.
Yes.
And then that's when the Warrens come in. They tell the girls this So the girls also talked to a medium, and the medium said it was a spirit of a little girl named Annabelle Higgins who had lived on the property before the apartment building existed. So they tell that to Ed and Lorraine. Ed and Lorraine return with, no, it's a demon tricking you. It's not an actual child, and so
Wait,
it
what?
needs exercised.
What? They think it's
Yeah.
a demon? Like what?
Immediately.
Oh, wow. I'm surprised.
Yeah, and so they advise the exorcism. There is no clarity on whether or not an exorcism happened. They just advised it, and then it results in the Warrens taking the doll with them because the girls don't want it around anymore. They're so scared, and the activity, they're worried if the doll stays, it's going to continue. So that's how the Warrens end up with the doll. And then from there, we have umpteen stories of what really happened.
Right. So one thing I want to point out before we move on is we chatted about this briefly before the show went live. The part about the dolls kneeling, like they would come home, and it is in the book because I reread the chapter today just to brush up on it, you know, because you deal with so many stories. But I read it, and then yeah, they do claim that they came home, they opened the door, and there it is, kneeling on the floor in front of them, and they tried to do it over and over again and could not get it to happen.
Yeah.
So this one right here, this big one, and this big one have been kneeling. They're freestanding right now. There's nothing propping them up. They've been kneeling there. This one has been there since we got here, which is about 45 minutes ago. And then this one has been here for about 5.5 hours now, just kneeling by itself. So it is possible to do it. You can prop it up. And I just wanted to make that clear because, like, I remember reading that story and going, well, yeah, it's a Raggedy Ann doll. It's filled with rags. That's why, you know, but it's not that fine, like Build-A-Bear stuffing.
Yeah, the polyfill.
It's actually thick material that's inside of it. So yes, you can prop it up so that it's kneeling like this. So what else? I mean, we have this story. This is the original story, as told by Ed and Lorraine in their book. So what other versions have you heard?
Okay, so from there, there is.
I like how you're like you're laughing like, oh, here we go.
I love this because this was one of my first debunks because I got on the Warrens have their own YouTube channel that Tony created for them. It's called Secrets of the Supernatural, which is the same name as the public broadcast station the show that they had when they did it back in the 80s. So there is an interview clip where Tony interviews them about Annabelle. And I think the interview took place in the 90s, but it was released in 2000 on YouTube, in 2000, yeah. Okay. So he's interviewing Ed and Lorraine, and he's asking them to tell the story about the doll. And it starts out the same. The nurses contact them through some priests. They're scared of it. They talk to a medium. They think it's haunted by this little girl. So then Ed comes in, and instead of immediately saying it's a demon this time, which really threw me off, he gives the history of the dead little girl and says when she was 7 or 8, she was hit by a car in front of the apartment complex.
Wow.
So then he still becomes a demon somehow. So I got really confused in this part because he's saying it's an inhuman spirit and on one hand, and then he's got this story of this actual deceased child from a car accident, and then they still need to exercise. It's so confusing. But then
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, it's just like he continues to tell this story, and Ed is such a character. He acts, I swear, in every interview he's in it, and he's like, it's over the top and all of that, and he is so adamant about the car wreck. And then he jumps into how the girls tell him about the kneeling situation and the doll, whatever. He proceeds to say that he himself witnessed the doll at the kitchen table lift its arms up and put them on the table.
Right.
That's a new development because that's not in the book. And I hate that one.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do believe in the same interview, I think he says that he saw it standing. He saw the doll standing up. Mm-hmm. And I actually think he makes a mistake and claims that that's what the nurses told him. that it was
Yeah, he
standing,
does
not
that.
kneeling. Yeah, which is much harder. I couldn't get that to happen
Yeah.
without some help. But so I mean, that is weird because I always read this out. So this is right from the demonologist. This is his words, because the Deidre is, am I saying that right?
And so that's another thing. In the original version published in 1980, it was Donna. And then they republished the book in 2012, 13-ish, and changed it to Deirdre. So it's Deirdre and Laura in the new publication. And then the first one, it was Donna and Angie.
I got to get the original one then.
That's what I said. When I learned that, I was like, oh my goodness, why did they change the names? What was the point of that? I even
What's
reached
the
out to
point
the
if,
company.
if you change the name to protect them? Why are you changing it
Yeah.
again? That's just
I
dumb.
don't understand it at all. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is Ed. So, but basically, all right. So we have Deirdre / Donna saying, "Then the doll is possessed," and Ed telling him or telling her, "No, the doll is not possessed. Spirits don't possess things. Spirits possess people. Instead, the spirits simply moved the doll around and gave it the illusion of being alive. But because you see them all."
Yeah. He told me he's flying around.
But because you girls believe this was the spirit of a little girl, Annabelle, the appearance and reality were the same to you. In short, you left yourself wide open, and a deceptive, negative spirit took advantage of you, with your permission, of course. This is how the phenomena was brought on. I just want to give you a heads up, too. We have a thunderstorm going on, so if it gets a little loud in here, you know what's happening.
Pouring.
It's pouring now, and we have a metal roof right above me. So,
Oh, nice.
but yeah, I read that off each time because, like, according to Ed, the doll's not possessed. The doll's, it's basically no different than me going over to this and doing that. That's it. There's nothing about the doll that's haunted or cursed. It's just the demon spirit or evil spirit was just moving it around. That's it. All right. You all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if I'm glitching, but you were glitching a little bit. But all right. So yeah.
Yeah, you did a little bit, but I was following.
Okay. All right. Hopefully we get through this. So the nurses, this is my biggest thing. This is my biggest thing because I've known the stories. I've heard versions of it. I've seen the doll. I haven't seen it in person. I don't really care to because it's way too expensive to do that. But the nurses, for years after reading the story, I assumed the nurses never existed.
Same.
Because it was like, all right, they don't have real names. The Annabelle story, okay, we could dig into that to see if there's any accidents or anything like that. But I just figured the nurses just don't exist. That it was a story because Ed likes to exaggerate. So when I saw you on the Side Eye Guy, his show, you mentioned something about talking to one of the nurses, and I was like, wait, what? And unfortunately, like I was busy at the time and I was half listening and I was really trying to listen, but then I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing and I was messing it up. So I didn't get the whole story. So tell me about this. I'm so interested.
All right. I love this because it was so bizarre how it happened. I have been trying to find the proof that these women existed. And I found, there's record of tons of nurses living in Hartford, Connecticut at the time. And like, you can't just, without a name, you don't know. And I follow a few pages on Facebook and I have so many amazing people that are constantly sending me things they see or find or helping me with research or whatever. And I woke up one morning to a link someone had sent me on Facebook, and it was to a Facebook group I follow. And I open it, and it is a newspaper article, and it is telling the story of Annabelle. And there are two women in the picture. One of them is holding the Annabelle doll, and it is, by all accounts, the very first record of this story, and it's published in 1975. Ooh. So that's 5 years before the demonologist.
Right.
So I'm reading this, and there are names in it. And I have seen these names before, we've got so it reads through and it talks about the two nurses that are roommates and the man that is the fiance or boyfriend, and their names are Marguerite Tata and Annalie Getz, and the man's name was Anthony Rossi, or Rossi. I think it's Rossi. But because those names are in the article, and the article, to me, it looked like a tabloid. And so I went on a big search to find it, and that's a whole thing. But I found the people named in the article, and the records match the whole being a nurse at the time and all of that in the area and everything. So those two people that I found Annalie Getz and I found Anthony Rossi. And it matched up their addresses at the time, all of that. They unfortunately have passed, so I couldn't reach out to them. And I couldn't find Marguerite Tata. I was having the hardest time. I couldn't find her ancestry. I couldn't find any record of her. And then people know I'm looking, so I get tips randomly. And a very random anonymous tip came in and said, Marguerite changed her last name. Try this. So I put this name into Facebook, and instantly there she is. And her Facebook is somewhat public, so I can see pictures. I can see pictures dating back to 2010. And I compared some of her photos on her Facebook to the photo of the woman holding the Annabelle doll in that newspaper article. And in my opinion, they look identical. And so my next step, of course, is to reach out to this woman. I found her on Facebook. She is active on Facebook. Send her a message. She doesn't answer it. I go to sleep, wake up the next morning, and I'm tagged in a random post someone has put up on Facebook, and it's a video of Annabelle being mocked. It's this really funny video of Macaulay Culkin doing the scream and running away from Annabelle. And Marguerite commented on it and said, "That's my doll."
Oh.
I almost lost my mind. And then I thought, somebody's messing with me. Somebody has to be messing with me. This like what the heck? So then I realized she commented that 2 days before I found her. So she wasn't, at least as far as I know, she wasn't aware of me. And it was strange that she would comment and then I would be given the name and then I would find her. So I wonder if someone saw her comment, let me know about the name, that kind of thing.
Right.
Then I commented back and I said, I would love to speak to you about your doll. Somebody whoever posted the post deleted the comments, gone. And I was like, what the hell? What am I supposed to do now? That was my one in. So I ended up I searched her name at Facebook and it pulled up some public posts in a group. And she had posted something, was commenting, and I tried to join the group, but I didn't get approved. And turns out a friend of mine was already in the group. And so he commented on one of her feeds and all he said was, "Hey, I sent you a message. I'd love to talk to you." We didn't say what it was about because the comment feed had, it was about food. It had nothing to do with the paranormal. Right. So we didn't want to expose her. So she replies. And I actually have all of that conversation. Do you want me to pull that up now? That way I can read it verbatim.
Yeah. I love this.
Right,
I love documentation.
Let's see. I have the newspaper articles too. Yes. All
right. You let me know when.
All right. So I have the screenshot of her saying that's my doll. Okay. So my friend comments and says, I'd like to talk to you. And she replies, "I read your request. I am not sure I will respond. I do not like talking about her." And she put her in quotations. So my friend replies, "I understand. That's why I was shocked to see you comment on that post, but it was deleted before I could reply." Marguerite says, "I didn't even realize it was deleted. So much misinformation, but I guess that's showbiz." And then my friend comments and says, "Can you please speak to us then and correct the misinformation for everyone?" And that was it. She absolutely ghosted us after that. We did not hear from her again. And I don't know what to do about it. I'll leave that.
Right.
Yeah. So I tried the fact that she read my friend's message. I know she saw mine. So I think, I honestly don't know why she won't talk about it. I have no idea. The only conclusion I can come to is they made it up and she doesn't want to get caught in a lie. Maybe that's just an opinion, but.
Right. So you never got a chance to talk to her.
Right. This was the most, and then of course this is where I started. That's my doll. And then someone else commented and said, "I knew it," but yeah.
Okay.
And then, and I redacted everything because I don't want like people going to hunt her
Right.
down and harass her. I have more respect for her than that. But then someone sent me this shortly after, and I totally forgot about it. It says, I agree. I am the owner of, quote, Annabelle, so went through a lot. But after seeing that documentary and reading the chapter in their book about us and the events, I am now a little skeptical. Many things were changed, but I owe them a lot for getting that doll away from us. So,
Hmm.
and I
It's
don't
like,
remember, like this was just random on another post. So someone
right,
screenshot it and sent it to me.
right. And so, like for me, like looking at this, excuse me, and I guess my skeptic sense is tingling, and it's like, all right, so she does look alike. She does look like the original picture.
Yeah, let me pull that up real quick.
Oh
So
yeah,
here's the newspaper photo,
okay,
and that's the woman the woman holding the doll is, I believe, Marguerite. Because if you this next picture I pulled from her Facebook page, it's public, and I didn't want to take anything too obvious, but this is about as close as I could get, and I see it. I think it's her.
yeah, yeah. It might, yeah. It looks like her.
Pull it back again. Like I compared, like when they do in true crime, when they're trying to see if someone older might have been a missing person when they were younger, they compare
Right.
things like the nose, the shape of the eyebrows, the shape of the ears. Unfortunately, I can't see her ears, but like her mouth to me looks the same, her chin, and
Right.
definitely her nose.
Right.
And the face alone, the structure of the face, the shape of the face looks similar. I mean, it looks good. But yeah, I mean, the fact that she won't talk to you like that, that's, I mean, that's her decision. To
Yeah.
be honest, it's her decision. She doesn't have to get back into this conversation. But it's weird. Like the story, I really wish we could clarify some of the details, because
Me too.
like when I read the story from Ed, the original story, again,
Mhm.
like it doesn't seem all that bad, at
Right.
least from the nurse's perspective through Ed's perspective. Make that clear. It
Mhm.
just doesn't seem so bad. Yeah, the boyfriend allegedly got scratches, which is another thing. Like that kind of annoys me. That whole thing about the scratches, and it healed within like
Mhm.
2 days. Like,
I
no.
have something else for you with the scratches.
Oh,
Okay, so I'm gonna go over to the article.
okay.
Here's the article.
It's like show
This
and
was the
tell.
one that was published in 1975, which would have
Okay.
been before the book. And in the article, it says, I'm
I
trying
think
to
I have
find
this.
it where it says it. It says something about where he got the scratches. And on this article, it says on his body. It does not specify where. It just says on his body. So in the book, it says on his chest and stomach. So the fun part is the author of this article, her name is Jill Amadio. I found her and I reached out to her and she let me interview her about this article. And she said, candidly, without really thinking too hard on it, she said that she remembered being told the scratches happened on his back.
Oh.
So,
Oh. So yeah, I mean, now this is interesting. Like we're getting a little bit of clarification, or I don't know if it's clarification. It's contradiction.
yes,
Between someone that
yes.
interviewed them at the time, and then of course Ed with his story about what's going on, and it just, I really wish that Marguerite, right? Marguerite
Yeah,
would
Margaret.
would talk to you, because like I'd like to know what else went on. Where where's the shirt that was allegedly bloody? Where are the notes on
Yeah, the
parchment?
notes for sure.
You know,
I would have
yeah,
kept that. Like, if it were happening to me, I would have held on to all of that.
right. Or at least, and I hate to say this because I don't want it to have happened, but if I was in that position and had this belief and thought things were going on, and now here comes this power couple coming into my apartment and telling me they can take it away, I would have given them the notes too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The notes, the shirt, like here's all the evidence, quote unquote evidence of what happened. Here it is. Take it. And another thing I want to bring up, like I'm sorry if I'm jumping around because so many things are going through my head. I want to ask questions, and that's why I'm kind of like glitching because I'm like, oh, do I ask this? Do I ask that? In the book, there is one of the stories is that they found Annabelle on the bed and it had 3 drops of blood on the clothing. But I don't see anything about that later. And I don't recall that ever coming up in like later editions or later descriptions of the doll. Like current pictures. Is there blood stains? Did you ever see blood stains on it?
No, I've never found anything else about bloodstains.
Okay.
All I've seen is a red crayon. There was red on her hands from the crayon or pen or marker or whatever it was she used. It was supposed to have been a crayon.
Right.
For the note writing, to clarify.
Wow. I mean, I think I have this article because I think did you pull these up for Seg?
I think I might have, yeah.
Okay.
And then I posted them in a few places too.
All right, because I think as soon as they came up, like I screenshot them and I was like, oh, I gotta find these. So I think I did find these. So I have some of the information. I can look at that later again because now I'm so curious about it.
The article is really interesting. And then also on this other page, there's another one. This down here in the bottom right corner looks like a tabloid to me. I originally thought this newspaper article was tabloid, but Jill told me it was from the Sunday Herald. And it wasn't, I couldn't find, I reached out to the libraries in Bridgeport and they said they don't have the microfilm for it. So I couldn't get any confirmation about the newspaper it came from, but Jill said she was pretty sure it was the Sunday Herald. And then this one down in the bottom looks to me like a tabloid. And I know that the Warrens were in the tabloids because of the Lindley Street case. One of the witnesses that gave testimony said that the only person to get the story right was the tabloids.
That's funny.
that is funny. Like when the only reliable source is a supermarket tabloid, like you're in trouble. That's a bad story. That is a bad story. All right, so like fast forward this doll, like there's a big gap in I guess its adventures because it doesn't do anything. Ed and Lorraine apparently take it out. They put it in a wooden box with single pane glass that's like really easy to break. But it has not done anything since. Like I do know that in their story, they claim that they took it home and it bounced around different rooms at times. But it also caused some bad luck to some other people, including there was a cop friend of Ed, and it's very interesting. I gotta say, like watching Ed describe things just annoys the shit out of me because it's so over the top, and it's so obvious that he's exaggerating things going on and doesn't provide any names. Like with the cop in the interview that I watched him, he didn't give a name. It was like, oh, this cop friend, and he's been on the force, and he's big, and he's muscle bound, and he's doing all this stuff that you would think like that's a stereotypical cop. And then all of a sudden, he came up and he looked like he had a heart attack and stuff, and 3 months later he retired from the police force because of that doll. And it's like, what? But he retired from the police force. Why would this? So do you have any information on that?
I do not. I couldn't find, so all those little side stories about things that happened to people who messed with Annabelle, there's no more, like there's just the one telling, and then after that it's a different story because there's also a priest who has a bad experience with her, and then there's also in the movie they portray a reporter had a bad experience coming in and talking to her or whatever. And and then I think it was the cop in the book where he claims he refused to tell anyone what happened. He only told Lorraine and swore her to secrecy. So there was something about him not telling anyone, and he still wouldn't tell anyone to this day,
or
Yeah, and
you know,
then Ed says he knows what happened just because he knows the doll, and says that, and also based on what happened in the room when he went in there, he said that everything had been flung about and was strewn all over the place, and the whole idea was if you touch Annabelle, it will. So he says if your aura combines with hers, it causes this massive eruption of paranormal activity, and they say it's like a beacon that calls all the spirits to the vicinity. So yeah.
Wow.
it's like the Ghostbusters containment unit was shut down, and it's like boom, blows through
Exactly.
the roof.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. That is great. And also, it bothers me that that's said because there is a very famous photo of Lorraine carrying Annabelle.
Yes.
And if
Yeah.
anyone's going to be sensitive to her, wouldn't it be Lorraine?
Well, it really depends on the plot of the story,
Yeah,
where we are,
I agree
because
too.
I've found that with a lot of their stories, it really depends on what motivates the plot. You know, like what pushes it forward, and rules change. It's like a Marvel universe movie. The rules about superpowers change depending on what story they want to tell.
Exactly.
Because there was like I think Ed mentions about, wait, no, it's in the book about the medium that the nurses had come out, and that the medium was mistaken, and she made a mistake because the evil spirit talked to her and tricked her into, you know, being a voice for the
Right.
spirit to be able to get what it's want. And I'm like, isn't your wife a medium? Like,
Yeah.
what's the difference? Like, oh wait, that's right, your wife is the best. Like,
Yeah.
she knows
And then that comes up too because when they go to see the girls, they just decide that it's an inhuman spirit tricking them, and it's only based on what Lorraine said.
right. And it's out of nowhere. There's no investigation, there's no research,
Exactly.
there is
Yeah.
no. And I like the point that you brought up, because you brought up the about Annabelle Higgins, which is the alleged little girl. Like, the original story, it's nonsense to him. Like, no, that didn't happen. It's just the evil spirit that's telling you a lie in order to get it. And then later on in an interview, yeah, it really did happen. And there's
Yep,
something.
yep.
And
then in this newspaper article, it says Annabelle Higgins in that 1975 article.
Right. So my question, do you have any information on this? Because I know that I looked a while ago. I started looking into it, and I didn't find anything, but I didn't do a deep dive. But have you found anything that would confirm or deny or leave up in the air this Annabelle Higgins?
I have not. There are several names, like on Ancestry or Truthfinder, or anywhere you put in Annabelle Higgins, you'll find several. But I can't find a single record that confirms the death of a child named Annabelle Higgins by accident, by anything. There is no child death associated with that name in that area.
Right. I couldn't find anything either. Again, I mean, I didn't do a deep dive, but I did enough where I was like, I don't find anything. Like, there's no mention. There should be something.
Right.
Because, I mean, when we're talking 1970s or even earlier than that, that kind of stuff made the news. It wasn't like today.
Yes.
It's not like where the entire planet knows what happens, what you had for lunch, you know, an hour ago. They know like 10 minutes after you had lunch, what you had for lunch. It wasn't like that. But, and stories weren't as big. Nobody cared about what you had for lunch. Nobody cared about like little stories. It was the big stories that traveled, and there wasn't a lot. So when you had an accident like that, if a child was killed in a car accident, that would make the news. That would definitely make the news, and it would make the newspapers. And not being able to find anything, that throws a wrench in it, going like, all right, I don't think this actually happened.
Yep.
And I think that's what led me to believe the idea, or consider the idea, that the nurses didn't exist. And I'm still not convinced. I mean, I still have this bit of skepticism, and I'm not going to say it's cynicism. It's skepticism, because if we haven't had a chance to talk to her and really ask some good questions, like hard questions and clarifying questions, then we don't know. Like, there is that picture. that with the two ladies there holding the doll, but we don't know if that's like really what's going on. It could have been just something like today where people just make up stories.
Right.
And
And it's not too far-fetched for the idea of Ed and Lorraine, like either knowing these women or meeting them at a lecture and coming up with this, because there's speculation of that nature on a lot of their stories, that they came up with the idea together.
right. And that's a good point. Honestly, that's not a point that I considered before, because we have seen things like that. I mean, the Amityville case, I mean, the haunting, it's I mean, a well-known idea that, like the owner sat with the lawyer around a few bottles of wine, and came up with the story one night. And stuff like that could happen in order to boost popularity, and in order to make the papers, like they did. So
it happened with the Snedeker case too. The author came forward and said, Ed said, make it up and make it scary.
Yeah, I did a full video on that, where I broke down the footage from the kitchen, because that really bothered me. That actually inspired me years ago, when I watched that video of the kitchen table and chairs, and Ed's in the kitchen. He's like, he's going, the power of Christ compels you, or something like that, and the chairs are moving towards him. And I remember seeing that, going, you're pulling it, asshole. You're
exactly.
like, you can almost feel like him going like this. There's no way. And it was only a few months ago that I recreated that whole scene, but I dug into it and found that, the author of the book that wrote about that case, flat out, like he posted on forums. I have emails from the author saying,
I spoke to him too.
That they made it all up, because they didn't have anything. The stories were inconsistent, that the family was going through drug and alcohol addiction problems, and that it was like, and that's what really burns me up. And here's where I'm getting mad. I feel the anger burning up inside me, because that's where Ed just exploited the shit out of people. He saw them as money. He saw them as fame, not as people that needed help. And he took advantage of them. And that's the one where I ended the video, because with the idea that Lorraine actually made the accusation that former employees of that house, because it used to be a funeral home, that former employees were engaged in necrophilia, and that's what caused the haunting. And that just pissed me off, because
That's awful. Like,
this is a family business that served the community for 50 some years, and now you're going to tell the public that they were screwing around with the bodies.
Yeah. And those are loved ones of people in the area.
Yes. Disgusting.
I agree. And there's so much disgusting stuff to that case. Like, I haven't done it. Like, I haven't covered it yet on my show, but I've researched it, and it makes my head spin, all the stuff I've read.
Right. So, I mean, we're getting close to the hour. What's your overall impression? Like, what's your, I guess, thoughts on the doll?
I personally don't believe she's haunted, and I don't believe she ever was. I feel like this was one of those, they claim it was their first case. It was not, because in another video they talk about another case that was their first case. But I feel like it was a test the waters kind of situation, to see what kind of belief system they could build around this story.
Right.
And it didn't even really take off until the movies. Like, I mean, you have a few YouTubers have gone to the museum and talked about it on their channels. And then you have, stories here and there throughout the years, but the fear of Annabelle didn't really take hold until the Conjuring franchise.
Right.
So I feel like it was kind of a test, and they feel like maybe it failed, and that's why they didn't, follow up, and they kind of just kept it as a mascot, in my opinion. It was something they could put in their museum. They have this evidence with this newspaper article and these women saying this happened to them. So it's a talking point, and it's always in their lectures. It was always a talking point in lectures. I feel like it was a good way to start things out, to get people engaged, interested, the oohs and ahs that he was looking for. And then just like from there, it's just made up stories left and right. Like we didn't get to I have a whole other thing on the motorcycle accident. I forgot about that.
We got a couple minutes. Let's talk.
Okay, so you know about the motorcycle accident, right? That Annabelle
Yeah.
supposedly caused. So
Yeah.
the man and the woman crash. The man dies. The woman gets severely injured.
So this is actually back up. Give the lead up to this for people that don't know.
Okay, so the Warrens have housed the Annabelle in their museum, and people are coming to the museum. They're seeing it, stuff like that. There is a time in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. This is not clear when it happened. The story started being told in the late 80s, early 90s. And so apparently there was a couple in the museum, and they were taunting Annabelle. The man was tapping on the glass, taunting her, telling the doll, do something, that kind of thing. Lorraine and or Ed, it's changes in different stories. One of them told them they had to leave. They couldn't be doing that, so please leave. So they leave. And then they get in a motorcycle accident. The man dies. The woman gets severely injured. And this story, so it didn't really bother me before until something specific happened. But I couldn't find anything to prove it. I found no record of motorcycle accidents involving a fatality of a man and the injury of a woman. It was all, if it was a fatality, it was just a single rider. I couldn't find any duos in an accident. And so that was my main debunking thing. But then when I put out my a couple interviews I had done in some episodes, the lead investigator of Nesper, Dan Rivera, contacted me and was really butthurt over my guests because I had Eric Vitale on there and Frank Chiafari. And Eric is a former Nesper member, and Frank Chiafari was a former friend of the Warrens. He hung out with Ed a lot. He has a lot of really cool stories about Ed. And nothing was said that was offensive or derogatory or anything that would, Dan said it hurt his feelings. It hurt him and Tony's feelings. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. So after he explains to me that my guests have hurt his feelings and doesn't explain how, he jumps into this whole, I didn't know at the time, but apparently he's been telling this story everywhere. But he jumps into this whole story about how he has a connection to this accident. And I'm like, what? He says when he was 8 years old in 1980, he's very specific, very detail oriented in this story. And he says on Route 25, where it meets Route 8, going in from Monroe to Bridgeport, he saw the motorcycle fly by him and his dad in their car. And then the dad said they're going to wreck because they were going so fast. And then they come around the corner and there is the accident. He says he saw the aftermath. He saw a woman on the side of the road holding her head and it was bleeding. And he also says that he and his dad were out on the road because they were delivering bread from their bakery or something. But first of all, bakery deliveries get made in the very early morning, like 3, 4, 5 a.m. Mm-hmm. So the museum wouldn't have been open then. They wouldn't have had people in there checking.
I want to interrupt and just say, I love how you're like, first of all, I'm like, oh, she's got more than one. This is great.
This one fired me up so much because Dan, I don't like being lied to, especially when I know you're lying. And I feel like he was gaslighting me a lot and I can't stand that. And so the whole time I'm trying to keep composed and let him tell his story. And the whole time I'm like, all right, I'm taking notes. I got to look this up. So I joined a Facebook group of people who lived in Bridgeport in the 70s and 80s. And I made a post and I said, does anybody in this group remember a motorcycle accident happening around late 80s, early 90s, where a man died and a woman was injured? And then I put on Route 25, connecting to Route 8 towards Bridgeport. First comment reply I got was, that road wasn't open until 1982. So it's debunked. Like, it didn't happen. There's no way he saw that on that specific road. And I don't want to hear, oh, I got it wrong, or oh, I miss. No. You were so adamant about your details. No.
I love it. That's great. When something did not exist at the time, but you're saying, yeah, we were there.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. And I also want to back that up and say that I did the same thing. I went searching and went through 70s, 80s, 90s. looking for the same parameters. Motorcycle accident in that area, male driver died, female passenger hospitalized, or something like that, and could not find anything that matched. I found the same thing, like just one motorcyclist in accidents, but nothing with two people on it, where one died, one didn't.
Right.
There's
and
just
even
no
Lorraine
record.
said he was in contact with that woman. So from Lorraine's mouth, the woman existed.
Well, I mean, this is a good example because I can say here that back when I was 9 years old, I was also driving on that same road, and we passed by, and a motorcyclist flew by us, and I said, "Oh, you know, they might be getting an accident," and I turned around and saw that they did, but both people got up and walked away. It was a different one. Like, I can tell that story, and I can do it with confidence, and I can look you in the eye and say that same story and say it with the same believability that this other gentleman did. It's not true, though. It doesn't mean it's true.
Right.
There has to be some record. And for us, there's some kind of police record. There's newspaper articles would cover this.
Yes.
That would be newsworthy, and we would be able to find it in multiple newspapers. And it would probably give updates. We would find some update. They would have the names in it. We would be able to check the names and find out, like, because in the interview that Ed did on Tony's show, he claims that the woman was hospitalized for over a year.
Yep.
That's newsworthy too, because that would be something that would check in, like, it's been a year since the accident, but she's still suffering, or she's still in a coma, or something like that. And that's the only thing I can think of, like, in some kind of coma where you're in the hospital for a year. Just off the top of my head. So
yeah, I think I read somewhere once that Lorraine mentioned there was a coma involved.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Maybe I'm psychic.
I've seen so many interviews where they both change their words and their statements and their stories.
Yeah. I it's troubling, and I kind of don't want to say it because I don't like doing personal attacks, but I don't like Tony. I just don't like watching him because it's almost like he's flirting with the TV. Because I see him do interviews, and like the one at that particular one where Ed talks about Annabelle and they're both there. At the end, he's like, "All right, so we're at the end of the show. We're going to be over now. See you next week." And I'm like, "What the fuck is he doing?" What is
Tony
that?
rubs me wrong in so many ways, and he hates me. He loathes me.
Aw. Well, we love you.
Well, I ruined a big money-making opportunity for him, so he's not happy with me.
All right, we have 2 minutes. Tell us about that.
So he decided to bring this random man on his he has a podcast now, which the podcast was created in retaliation to my podcast and to the whole drama that was going on Facebook about 6 months ago, you know, attacking Tony and Dan for the silly story. And so they decided to make a podcast, and on their third episode, I think, they have this man on, and they're calling him Joe King, which when you put it, they spelled it J-O, so when you put it together, it was joking, which was really funny. I don't know if they caught on to that, but anyways, so they have this man on there, and I just happened to be researching the case they were talking about, so someone sent me the link to watch this episode because I don't watch the show. I can't stand watching him.
Yeah.
But so they have this guy on, and he starts telling how he was there for the Lindley Street haunting. He was 7 years old. He was babysat by Laura and Gerald Gooden, and then he proceeded to trash talk the shit out of Marcia, which pissed me off because, first of all, she's not around anymore to defend herself. Second of all, her whole story is in a book that has mountains of research and testimony compiled to make the book, and there is no little boy named Joe or Joey ever mentioned. So that just made me mad to know that he's lying. Like, there's no way this man is telling the truth. And so I'm going to look him up, and I'm going to prove that he is lying. And in that, I did prove that he was lying. I spoke with the author. He said he'd never heard of this man. Never once did anyone in all his research had mentioned him. And I had some former neighbors that lived on Lindley Street at the time that were young, that were Marcia's age, that would try to play with her. And they said Laura didn't let anybody play with Marcia. No one was allowed to come over. She wasn't allowed to go anywhere. Like, she was so sheltered because of them losing their other child that no one was allowed over. So this Joey guy did not exist at the time.
Right.
But to top it all off, when I looked him up, because I didn't have a name, I just screenshotted his face and I put it in reverse image search, and it immediately pulled up his criminal record. And he has done terrible things. One of his charges was essay on a minor.
Okay.
So I told Tony. He did not care. Then, since he ignored me, and he blocked and deleted my comments on YouTube, and then everyone else chimed in, and he turned off the comments. And then people started chiming in on Facebook because they had shared it to Facebook, and they couldn't keep up with the comments. So they eventually took the video down and then did an update and said they apologized if they offended anybody, but they wouldn't be working with him anymore.
Oh.
But he intended to write a book. He did a whole 25-minute YouTube episode like 6 months before he brought this guy on, saying how first it started out, we're thinking about writing a book. Then about halfway through, we are going to write a book. And then at the end, we're writing this book. It's written.
Damn, that's pretty fast. Wow. All right. So we are at break. We're gonna go to our commercial break, which is about 4 minutes and 9 seconds. We're going to go, this is your chance, everyone that's watching, to go to the men's room or the little girl's room, or, you know, if you want to go to the kitchen and fill up your cup again with some iced tea, or coffee or tea. Do you have tea? What are you drinking?
I got tea. It's actual tea.
What was that side look? That was like tea. Yeah, it's tea. All right. So everyone else, we will be back here with your questions. We're going to go to your questions now and see how she does with your questions. And this is the fun part because I have no idea what people ask. Usually Donna's pretty good at vetting out the weird ones, though. She's usually like, I don't think I'm going to ask this. This is weird. This is weird.
It's not
really
bad
good.
tonight.
It's not bad. All right, good. It's not bad tonight. All right. So with that in mind, we will see you back here in 4 minutes and 9 seconds from now.
And now for something completely different.
Welcome, my fellow skeptics. Welcome, one and all. I am the chief investigator. Oh, come along, old chap. We will have a ball. Now, if you will excuse me, it's time to open the mic. Good night. Good night. Kenny Biddle's the name, investigating's my game, and I will have at it. Quid pro quo. As the head of this committee, hunting for ghosts can be shitty, but there is nothing better that I know. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? Let's open the bar and have some questions, alright? Maybe you might find an answer or two. I will find the truth this night and day, and if my name is not Kenny Biddle, then I assure you here I will not stay. Good day! Kenny Biddle's the name, goes hunting's the game. I won't let anything get in my way. Too many fakers out there, too many chefs, too many toe tappers, none of it makes any sense. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? Let's open the bar and ask some questions, Trust me, I am not so keen. I prefer to see these things clearly. Knocked in 144 clean. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? If you don't think I am right, let's open my night. Yeah, yeah. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? If you don't think I am right, let's open my night. Yeah. If you have an answer or two, let Kenny Biddle solve it for you. Let Kenny Biddle solve it for you. The one and only Kenny Biddle. Kenny Biddle. Kenny Biddle. Kenny
I was just telling my wife we really need to set up a camera, like a live camera, something just show the silliness that goes on during the break. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Yes. All right, we are back. Thank you everyone for hanging out. Still, we're in the second hour now. We're going for 3. Donna hates going to 3 hours. She hates it. But we're gonna go a little over tonight. I'm gonna give everyone a heads up because we're gonna debut a song that Cat Mac has written for Donna. So I'm gonna play that at the end, and it kind of ties in. When you hear it, you'll understand why I want to go into hour 3 tonight. So we might go like 5 minutes over. That's all, just to play that. So all right. So now second hour. This is your questions. You guys, the viewers, this is all your questions. We got a bunch. We got like 20, at least 20, 21 questions in the queue, just waiting for you. So let's start with number 1. Jade Kitten, could I ask about your name? We all know Stevie Nicks, but I can't really think of others.
I love when people ask me about my name. I was not named after Stevie Nicks, even though I would have been honored to be, but I was named after someone just as amazing to me. I was actually supposed to be a boy. The doctor told my mom her whole pregnancy I was going to be a boy, and so she named me after her brother. And before I was born, it was Stevie. And so when I was born, it kind of just stuck.
Okay. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a good origin story. I like that.
I love it.
All right. Jen Jones, do you think she signed some kind of contract with the Warrens that prevent her from saying things? It seems like she wants to say stuff, but can't fully voice it. Oh, I guess we're talking about Marguerite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree. I not that I agree, but I considered that option, that idea. I don't know, because I feel like if she were under contract, wouldn't she be getting some kind of like, maybe
Payment?
not, maybe she gets paid to be quiet? I just feel like she would get some kind of recognition, or I don't know, like, and then she says that Hollywood changed it. So I don't know if she's if she could be under contract and isn't allowed to say anything, but I feel like maybe that would have ended with the Warrens passing. I don't think she has any involvement with Warner Brothers. I don't think anybody really does, honestly, except the Warrens.
As far as I know, the Warner Brothers went around because oh my God, what's his name? Was it Jared Brittle?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Brittle. Yeah, Brittle that had the contract with the
Mhm.
Warrens
Yeah.
for exclusive rights to anything, all the stories, the files, and stuff like that. So when Warner Brothers started The Conjuring, he was pissed and filed suit.
Yes.
So there's a big lawsuit, and it's really when you get the entire complaint, it's like 500 pages. And I printed it all out, and I read the whole damn thing. They were pissed. He was really pissed, but Warner Brothers kind of went around it with the idea that, hey, these are true stories, and basically that's it. Like you don't have a copyright on the truth.
Right.
So if we want to
And
tell
it's
it,
a perspective story.
yeah. So I think if Marguerite had her version, like there shouldn't be any. I don't see any reason why there would be a contract, unless they were planning this from the start. And honestly, this early in the Warrens' career, I don't think they were that smart. I mean, they were really smart when it came to exploiting people, but I don't think they were smart enough to cover their asses like that.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah,
this
and
is
I know
also-
that they
Go
were
ahead.
afraid of getting in trouble with the parents because they never got permission to share that story. So
Right.
they know how that works.
Yeah. And I mean, this is pre-internet days, so Ed had this problem. He didn't realize how easy things would be able to be looked up in the
Yes.
future. So that really backfired on him.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, this is unknown because unless we can convince her to talk to us, talk to you, because she knows you
Yeah.
more than anybody else right now. So
And I know people that know her, like are friends with her, but they won't. Like I don't want to ask them to do that anyway. But I don't think they would even try to be the middleman because they know she doesn't want to.
it would be beneficial, I think, for us, and I think for me at least, for the skeptical community, like that are interested in this stuff, like give us the information that you have. I want your perspective because that is ground zero. That's the first that's the first person perspective, and I want that original eyewitness testimony. Even if there might be problems with it, I still want it, so we can compare it to what has been told later. So good question, Jen. Thank you very much. All right, let's Chris like, are the Warrens deceased? Yes. Yeah.
I knew that'd be a quick one, but
Yeah. They Ed passed away
in 2006,
6. Yeah.
and then Lorraine in 2019.
Yeah. I never got a chance to meet Ed, which is probably a good thing. To be honest, I did meet Lorraine at a conference in Pennsylvania, and it was awkward. Let's just leave it at that.
Was it before or after her dementia had kicked in?
I believe it was before. I'd have
Yeah,
to
because they
check
were parading her around a little bit with it.
Yeah. I mean, she was at the conference. She was one of the main speakers. She was the main draw. And I tried to have a conversation with her, and it just, she wanted nothing to do with me. And
You don't want to talk to skeptics. Nope.
I mean, I was more on the ghost hunter side back then too.
Yeah?
I was in a ghost. I had my own ghost hunting team, and we were there as ghost hunters, right? Yeah. So it was pretty long ago, and yeah, she still didn't want anything to do with me. So maybe it was my personality.
I have heard some people. So I've interviewed a lot of people, and I've spoken to a lot of people that had interactions with them. And I have heard she is the sweetest woman alive, and I have heard she is evil and mean and heartless.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess, it depends on if they want something from you.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Next question, please. Kiwi USA 64. I just love saying that name. It sounds like an early 80s computer. Kiwi USA 64. Second attempt. Question: did the Warrens use non-disclosure agreements? Ooh.
I don't personally know the answer to that, but I have never come across one, and I've never heard of them using one. As far as I know, they didn't even try to shut anybody up. They just told their stories the way they wanted to tell them, and to hell with everything else.
Yeah. I don't know anything about NDAs in relation to the Warrens and trying to use them or enforce them, but I do know that they did have contracts that they would come out and pressure the family into signing under the assumption that it was going to be like a book deal, a movie deal, and we were going to make a lot of money, which never panned out the way it was presented. It was presented mostly as like, we're going to make a lot of money. You're going to make a lot of money. And it ended up Ed and Lorraine made a lot of money, but the family usually only got a little bit. So
yeah, and I don't know if they consciously made the contract to benefit them or if they had a lawyer consciously do that, but it seems every case they benefited far more than the family.
Yes. Yeah. And just based on the information that we do have, like with them promising families not to talk about it, but then turning right around and doing lectures where they reveal names and addresses and stuff.
Yeah.
I side on the team where it's like, yeah, they purposely made everything to benefit themselves.
Yes. And I do know of one time they did get in a tiny, tiny bit of legal trouble. When they showed up at the Lindley Street house. They apparently called all sorts of media all over the country. And after that, the Gooden's lawyer served them with papers with the phone bill.
That's awesome. I love that. Like, here's my phone bill, bitch. You pay it. You're the one that caused this. All right, that's awesome. All right, moving on. Vanessa, how you doing? What?
It's supposed to be is, not us.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Is anything in the Warren Museum actually haunted? I mean, for me, why are you laughing? You're like, I mean, I've never been there, so I don't know. I don't know, and I try to take every case, every item different. And people that watch the show, like I have a bunch of display cases out here in the hallway that have allegedly haunted or cursed items, none of which have done anything, even remotely. None of them have done anything. Let's just plain and simple, full stop, period, end of story, run the credits. Nothing ever happens. So I don't know what your perspective is on this. So go ahead.
So I know of a few specific items that have false stories attached to them. I've heard stories about the Warrens going thrifting and picking out things and then slapping a story on them. Then you have the dinosaur from the Arnie Shine Johnson case, the Glatzel's dinosaur that supposedly moved on its own and spoke. The dinosaur that they have is not the dinosaur that the Glatzel child owned. He owned a Godzilla toy, and I have this straight from the source from one of the brothers. It was a Godzilla toy with wheels on the bottom. Wow. So the dinosaur that they have in a protective glass case is not the dinosaur. Yeah. And then, of course, there is I have Eric Vitale to thank for this one. I had somebody ask me about the skull. They have this interesting skull set up in there, and I think it's got like a star on it and stuff. I can't really remember. But they claim it was a dead man's skull. That's some tragic story. I can't remember if it's paranormal or not, but it's supposed to be this man that something tragic and demonic happened to. It's a skull from a high school science lab.
I love that. I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness. All right. Moving on. These are great. I love these. I love that. XO. Is there a link for Stevi, or is she not on YouTube? Oh, yes, she is.
I didn't send you that link, actually. But yeah, I'm on. It's Truth or Demons podcast everywhere.
And it's a good podcast. I was listening to a lot of your stuff over the last few days, just in preparation for tonight. And it's I love. See, I'm so detail oriented. Like, I love documentation. I love records. I love maps. I love old maps. I love aerial photos. I love everything that can support something that you're saying. And when you start digging, I love the curiosity. I love, especially like when you mentioned there was one of your videos where you mentioned you're talking about Ed Warren, and a different name came up, And at first you were like, oh, that's odd. And you moved on, but it was still there. Yeah. Like I heard it in your voice, like she's thinking about that. And then you came back to it because it came up again. And you're like, wait a minute. Now then I find it was the same address. Oh, son of a bitch. And you followed that lead and found some cool information. I don't want to spoil it, but you can spoil it if you want to.
Yeah, no, a lot of people don't know this about Ed. That is not his real name. I have actually, I did a show recently where someone asked why he changed his name, and I didn't really know the answer, but I did have someone give me some insight on that. So his real name is Warren Edward Miney. And there was speculation that he changed the name because people kept referring to him as Minnie, Mr. Minnie, or saying Minnie instead of Miney, and it got on his nerves. So that's one story, but other than that, I've not heard any other reason for it. My only other guess would be for a stage name. They intended to be famous, so they had stage names for. And I mean, that could have been for protection. That could have been someone suggested it, or it could have just been their own idea.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, and it was good when I heard that, when I was watching that, I was like, oh, son of a bitch. And I just love that. I love that kind of stuff. That is my jam right there.
That was one of my favorite things, because that thing I found, if anyone wants to go listen to it, it's in the first episode that I did, The Warrens. And it linked me to a newspaper article about something Ed did when he was 17 that kind of fits, but also kind of shocked me.
Yeah. Okay. I did post the link in the chat, so anyone can go visit that now. And not now. Wait till after the show. Then you can go visit and then watch all the videos. All right.
Also, I have about half of my episodes up on YouTube, and the rest are on podcast platforms. I'm working on getting them all up.
Okay, cool. Moving on. Mm-hmm. Let's see. We got Chris T. Where are all the case files and recordings? The Warren Nestor never released. Oh my God, this is a question that all of us ask. How do you answer that?
Same question. Where is it? Tony says all the time. Ed says all the time. We have evidence. We have recordings. We have pictures. We have video. We have proof. No one ever shares the proof. And Tony, even to this day, he'll have people in the museum and they'll tell him, oh, I saw Annabelle's eyes move and there's video, but he never shares that.
No.
He never shares anything.
And I think there's a reason for that. Like there is a reason, because I think, was it you? I think it was you that did
Annabelle doesn't even have movable eyes, does she?
No, they're drawn on.
That's what I'm saying. How
They're
could they move? I'm like, wait a minute. I'm looking at these
It's
dolls.
ink. They don't move. They're not even buttons that could pop.
I know.
Like I would see, like that was kneeling the whole time, and I just messed it up. But I mean, I think there are versions that do have buttons, but they're more modern versions.
Yeah, they weren't.
None of the original ones have like actual eyes. They're all just ink on the fabric.
Yeah. Oh, I just remembered. I do have some Warren evidence.
Oh.
I totally forgot. So it is not mine. Like I found it on YouTube. It's the only place I've ever seen it posted. This random dude that has like a music account. It has nothing to do with paranormal. And he just randomly shared this clip from the 70s from Enfield. And it is Ed interviewing the girls. That is the only evidence I've ever heard.
That's what I was getting at, because I that's what I heard, where you play the clip, and when you play the longer clip, and I'm not going to spoil it. I want everyone to go actually go watch the video, go listen to the podcast, because it's interesting. I'll leave it at that. It's very interesting when you realize what's really going on, and you only realize it with the longer clip.
Yep.
So, oh my God, it's so awesome. It kills me. I feel like I'm doing spoilers, and I don't want to do it because it's like, oh, it's so awesome. I love what you've done. I really do. It's so cool. All right, let's move on to the next question. We got Dan Webster. What's up, buddy? Who would win in a fight, Annabelle or Chucky?
That has to be my favorite question ever. I'm gonna have to say Chucky, just because I've seen that thing be torn to bits and still killing people with just his hand. So
yeah, and
there's evidence on Chucky.
we have video footage of Chucky. I mean, that little shit gets up. He talks. He wields a knife. I mean, he walks around. We have footage of that, and
Yep.
I mean, we have so much more footage of a Hollywood doll going around murdering people than we do of a allegedly real doll standing up, kneeling by itself, getting out of transporting room to room. But funny enough, again, it comes back to the wooden box and single pane glass that apparently blocks all demonic powers, because now it doesn't do anything except sit there.
Yeah. Oh, and when Dan came into the picture, Dan Rivera, the lead investigator for Nesper, he decided that the current box wasn't protection enough, so he made his own.
Oh.
So, wait a minute. so the box that it had been in for how many years?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're 40 some years, I think. Yeah, was now not protection enough because somebody wanted to be in the spotlight. That's what I get out of it. Yeah.
Yep, he definitely does.
Wow, it's still single pane glass, ain't it? Like, I mean, you can just like boom like that and go through the glass. I don't understand. And you know what? Like, if all this stuff is supposed to be haunted, I'm going off topic here, but everything in that basement is supposed to be haunted or cursed. Like, that should be a mecca. That literally should be the Ghostbusters building blowing up. But it doesn't.
Yeah.
So
Did you hear the news report about the man who trespassed and tried to break in with a samurai sword, claiming he was going to rid the world of the demons inside?
I want to see that video.
Yeah, there's no video, unfortunately, but there's a whole news report about how they busted him and everything, and he was yelling that he was going to get rid of the demons. He was going to vanquish the demons.
That's funny.
Like the samurai sword, like trying to get the lock out. Let's see. Get in there and start beating the shit out of all the objects. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, this is so much fun. All right, moving on. What do we got? Rabababa. What's up, buddy? Who would be your ultimate guest, Stevie, if you could interview anyone, dead or alive? Ooh.
That is a great question. I think so. I have two answers to this because I have a paranormal answer and then I have just an answer of a person that I would just love to speak to. My paranormal answer would probably be Doris Bither or Bither. She is the woman the entity is about. The 1982 film. I would love to interview her and hear her side from her mouth. And then just in general guest, I would love to speak to Tesla, Nikola Tesla.
Yes. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. Good choices. Doris Bither or Bither. I call her Bither.
It said both ways. I couldn't find a definite answer on that.
I mean, I'd be interested in speaking with her as well. I mean, it'd be nice to get her perspective because we didn't get her perspective really. We got the secondhand perspective from Taff. And yeah. And I've talked to the other guy. I talked to him a couple years ago because I did a story on the photographic evidence that was presented from that case. And I contacted him, and he's now like he helps people stop smoking now.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's his job.
What,
He's like
hypnosis or something?
It's something like that. It's stop smoking. And it's to the stars. Like he helps celebrities stop smoking and stuff like that. So he was very direct. He didn't really. I asked him a couple questions. He answered one, and that was it. He didn't want to talk to me anymore, which is cool. But yeah, it would have been nice to talk to Doris and see where she. Because I don't think. I'm not really fond of Barry Taff.
I hear that a lot. Yeah.
His methods. And I would have liked to have been there to ask certain questions or follow-up questions because I don't think her interviews were done fairly. I think they were done with a heavy bias. And
I think
it would have been nice to get clarification.
Yeah,
right.
And then there's the whole she moved away to get away from everything because she was being like controlled by it.
Right. And then it followed her. Like her claim was that it followed her, and that was unfortunately, there's a lot of backstory, and if anyone's interested, go read about it. Like I said, there's actually an issue of Skeptical Inquirer magazine where Ben Radford did a story on the story of the Doris Byther, and then in the same issue is my write-up about all the photographic anomalies and stuff like that. I go through that little by little. So anybody that wants, yeah. All right, moving on. This is great. I love this. Macy, right? Macy Rose. Sometimes I get names wrong, and I have to check with the boss to be like, is that a name check? Am I saying that right? Macy Rose. I think I've done that before. What project? Oh, actually, I love the little hand raising thing. I love like that. What project that you can talk about are you going to work on next that is really exciting to you?
So I have currently been working on 2 cases simultaneously. With the whole Nesper situation when they brought up Lindley Street, and I was researching at the time, I'm really excited for it because I uncovered a lot of stuff that's not really common knowledge. Like, you watch all kinds of videos or whatever about the story, and so there's a lot in that I'm really excited to share. And then also, I'm so excited to share my episode on the Arnie Cheyenne Johnson case, because I got to speak with some family members and I got a lot of insight and then of course that documentary that came out, The Devil on Trial, such a good documentary with so much revealed. And my episode on that, I am so thrilled to get that out to people.
Awesome. That's cool. I've tried to talk to the older brother because I have been in talks with a friend of his. And for legal reasons, I was told that he couldn't talk to me yet, especially after that documentary came out, because that I'm sure that really caused a ruckus throughout through the family. So I'm hoping.
And I think he has more to say. I think that's what we're waiting on. Yeah,
we're waiting for the legal issues to get through, and then hopefully he will be able to talk and reveal a little bit more. Because I think, I agree. There's a lot more that he wants to say. So, all right, cool. Moving on. Tom, what's up, buddy? Who is this Tony guy they are talking about? Full name.
Antonio Spira, Tony Spira, the Warren son-in-law, the husband of their daughter, Judy Spira, or Judy Warren.
Yes.
And he runs the organization now. He is in charge of ideas, I guess. Now they have the Devils on the Road run tour where they're taking all these haunted objects on tour. And then he also has the Paracon they do. And now I'm hearing that they're going to be charging for experiencing Annabelle. I was told you're going to get to hold her. I don't know if that's true, but that's the rumor. And this is fact. This is on their website. If you pay $64 plus some other fee, you can have a private meeting with Annabelle, plus the fee to get into the convention.
Wait a minute. Wait, what's the website?
I think it's the Devils on the Run one. I'm not sure which website. Someone sent me a screenshot of the pricing.
Devils on the Run. Let's see what this says. Devils on the Run. Devil on the Run. Harcourt Band. Oh, that's a band. That's not what I'm looking for.
I actually shared it recently. Let me see if I can find it.
Tony Spira. Spira.
A.
Spira.
Spera.
There we go. Let's see. Warren's Paracon bringing Annabelle doll from Connecticut. That's when is this from? 2024, February. I'm going to share the screen so you guys can see what I'm looking at, just so it's not like two people on camera, just, like looking somewhere else and not paying attention to everyone. Annabelle, halted items, traveling, Connecticut, Gettysburg. Let's see, the event, in the rain, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Today, the items in the museum, as well as Nesper, are overseen by the Warren son-in-law, Tony Spira, and his wife, Judy Spira. Wait, here it is. Paranormal Convention puts the event. Took place. All right, I'm trying to look to see if there's like a mention of that
Oh,
or
I
a
found it.
link. Oh, you
I
found it?
found it.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me send it to you so you can
Ooh,
share it.
yes, please send it to me, and I will not put my Facebook page up on the screen that's being shared.
All right.
You
Here
have
it
to take that down.
comes.
Well, I'm gonna as soon as it comes
Oh.
through, then I'll put it. There it is. Okay, we'll put it up for everyone to see. There we go. Let's see.
I have
Warren's
another one
Occult
for you.
Museum. Huh? What?
I had
Okay.
another one for you.
Experience featuring Annabelle must also purchase a separate general admission ticket. Bullshit. Warren, I hate the extra stuff like that. Oh,
Yeah.
you're coming out to see this. This is why everyone's coming out. It should be part of the main tour.
I agree. That's their biggest, it's their mascot.
Right. It's oh my gosh. It's Warren's Occult Museum experience featuring Annabelle. Admittance to the Warren Occult Museum experience room where you can view and learn about the haunted and cursed objects collected by Ed and Lorraine Warren. Take pictures of and with Annabelle. Note, a general admission ticket must accompany museum experience. Oh, so $64 plus $7 for a fee. So
Yep.
you're paying over $70 in addition to what? Let's see. What else do you got?
And I sent you the same thing. It's just it highlighted where it says learn because
Right.
the whole thing is they're educating, but we're going to charge out the ass for this education.
Learn about the cursed object collected by. Oh, you can learn about it. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm curious about what I'm supposed to learn.
Exactly.
You know, like what are you
don't
going to
provide
teach
any
me?
evidence.
Right. What new evidence would there be? I thought you died of. Yes. Abs. Yeah. Like, wasn't there supposed to be like this mushroom nuclear event that happens of psychic
Yeah.
energy and spirits where it calls all the spirits in the immediate area and says, hey, ding, 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 dinner time. Like,
Yeah. And you know that she's been on an airplane, right?
yes, I heard that. Where it was
Yep.
like, all right, what?
I don't want to fly with a haunted doll. I don't think so. Well,
I mean,
a legitimate haunted doll.
I wouldn't mind. I have never come across a legitimate haunted or cursed item. I'm still looking, but there was what is it? Buddy the doll. Buddy the doll was supposed to be a haunted doll, and it was taken around by a friend of mine who was in the paranormal community. He took it to conventions. It was in a case. You weren't allowed to touch it because there was this rumor that if you touched it, you got bad luck. Something would happen to you. You would get in an accident within like a few days or something like that. Every time I saw the guy, can I touch it? Can I touch it? Can I touch it? Finally, like 1 year, I don't know if I just annoyed him enough. And he was like, yeah, touch it so you can get in an accident and stay away from me. But he's like, go ahead. And I was like, all right, cool. Opened the door, touched it, grabbed it. I was like, all right, I'm touching it. Nothing happened. I mean, in fact, my life actually got better.
Oh, I love that.
So, I mean, it broke the curse. Maybe my skeptic aura took away the curse. I absorbed the curse. And now
And you can't get it out.
there you go. It's cursed out. That's usually what people do to me. All right, so let's move on. That's awesome. I love that. Jen Jones, Stevie, is Tony and his gang still harassing you? I still can't believe he had that pedo on there. Yeah. Okay.
So I'm not currently being bothered by them, but I do believe that's because I have been inadvertently very quiet recently. I have a very busy job, and so sometimes my episodes, there's a couple months in between me getting them out. And my last whole situation with them was pretty much the last I put out, and they were very upset. And I'm thinking that they probably think they won because I've been quiet, but they got another thing coming when my Lindley Street episode comes out. But someone else has decided to platform Joe, and in turn, 2 more people. So Joe is now on 3 paranormal platforms. The first one, a called me a bunch of names and told me they didn't care about his past. They called me tactless, a cyber stalker, and a child. And then another platform shared that platform's information about Joe, and I contacted them and told them too, and they thanked me and were very kind about it, but did not take his video down. And the whole fact that he's a pedo is really, really bad. But the whole point of my trying to get Joe off the internet is because he's lying. I've proven that he's lying. He's not telling the truth. And the fact that we have paranormal people with followings perpetuating this fallacy drives me insane, because they're not fact checking. They don't care. They just want the best story that gets the most views. And that drives me insane. So he is still out there, unfortunately. It's an ongoing battle with Joe. I'm sure the battle with Tony and Nesper will continue once I get my Lindley Street episode.
Yeah, this is a common thing. I've seen this a lot, where it's not about doing what's right. It's not about looking at the research and saying, oh shit, you know, this guy's lying. It's about how many clicks and views are we going to get from having this person on. And maybe because they are so controversial, and maybe because people are so pissed off, they're going to tune in. Everyone's going to tune in because they're mad. A while back, there was a gentleman that I wrote about that claimed to be a psychic medium. Turns out he was not, and he did a lot of other very nasty things and strange things, and some involved working with children. We'll put it that way. And I put it out to a lot of podcasts because he did like a run where he was on a whole bunch of them. And unfortunately, most of them were like, we don't care. You know, it's bringing in views. They like the attention. And that's a shame.
It is. A shame. And I think it's hilarious that when Joe found himself a new platform to be on, he now has proof that he was there. And his proof is a piece of paper that the Warrens wrote on that he called them in 1981. That's it.
Oh. So... Hold on, I'm gonna write you a note.
It blew my mind, and I was like, are you serious? Like, that is not proof. That could even be true, and it still isn't proof. Right. And
well, that's one of the big issues in this community, this hobby, where, and I'm sure a lot of people in the chat can agree to this, like the idea of what constitutes as evidence is not understood. It really isn't. It's grossly misunderstood, because people want, as long as they believe something to be true, then it's evidence. They don't bother to fact check. They don't research it. They don't look for the documents. They don't understand, like, hey, just a handwritten note with no date, no signature, no nothing that we don't see because you won't show it to anyone. That doesn't count as evidence. Not at all. And
all he'd have to do is prove he lived there at the time. That would be good evidence.
Right. Yeah. Show us census records, or some kind of mail, or something with an official address on it. Something like an ID. But, you know, like saying, hey, I got a note from Ed and Lorraine that they wrote and said, yeah, I was there.
Yeah. And in the first tone of his story, he was lamenting over the fact that he wished he had reached out to them sooner because they had already passed. So that's contradictory.
Whoa. So he got this note after they died. Wow.
Well, he got it after he told his first story. It didn't exist in the first story.
It didn't. Oh, I love fact-checking assholes.
And his first story was told with Tony. So don't you think Tony would have brought up the note if it existed?
Right. Something. But that's what happens in hindsight. You're like, oh, shit, they called me on it. I got to make up something else. And now it's your fault. You're still the bad person because you called me out. And now I'm going to make up some evidence.
Yeah, I'm just lying about him at this point.
You're just jealous.
Yeah, he said I was trying to get famous off of him.
Yeah. No. No, you're going to get famous because of the work you do. Because of the time and the amount of energy, the time of the serious inquiry that you do, that's what you're going to get famous off of. So not some jackass that that doesn't know how to write a good story.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's move on. Oh my God, it just burns me up. I hate when people fucking lie like that and just stupid lies.
Yep.
With Stevie's investigative skills and integrity, would your magazine be looking for such a talent? And Stevie, have you considered freelancing? Oh, so I can answer the first question and say, yeah, if one of these full stories is written up, and if you're interested, I can send you the guidelines that we use for the magazine, just for referencing and all that. I think it would be great. And I can say with confidence that my boss, who approves a lot of the stuff that I do, loves, and I'm going to quote him, I love a good story about the Warrens. And
I love that.
From our perspective, it's like anytime we get to complain about the Warrens, he loves it. Because they were so much trouble. They were such a pain in the ass when they were around, and we dealt with them a lot. Our magazine has a lot of articles about them or that involve them. And so if you're willing, we can talk later off camera. Yeah,
I would be honored. I would love to do that. I can take all my research and make a paper style, like an article instead of like a podcast episode.
Awesome. All right, we're definitely going to talk then.
I'm excited for that. Thank you for that question.
So then the second part of that question is for you. Have you ever considered freelancing?
Yes, I have. I've always wanted to be a writer since I was a little kid. I just never knew what I was going to write about. And I read once that a good writer writes what they know. And I knew enough about the paranormal to get me started. And now that I'm so deep in it, I would absolutely love to, I want to write a book. I want to take my research and make it into a book situation. And I would love to write articles. I'm hearing about your articles. That's very inspirational for me. I would love to be able to do that.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I did the same thing. I started writing what I know. And luckily along the way, I had one of my editors, Ben, really, really good with me, was not an asshole. I sent him stuff I had never written before for more of a, it's not an academic journal, but it is a science magazine. So they have higher standards, and you have to have your references, and you have to fact check everything, which you do, that's why you're on this show, because I liked what you were doing. So yeah, it's in the beginning, I sucked. I wrote a lot, but I was not good at it. And I've developed a lot of skills since then, and I'm doing a lot much better. Wow.
That's great.
That's great. I can write. I just can't talk. That's all.
It's hard.
Yeah, but my writing has improved over the years to where there's very little editing that needs to be done. And it's good because I love that experience. So definitely we will talk about this more, because I would like to get something like that in there. All right, moving on.
Hold on.
Oh, holding on. She's busy in the chat. Is Bob in there?
Yeah.
Damn it, Bob.
The Phillies just won.
Bob,
3-2.
Bob, I got something for you. I hope you're watching. I made you a sign. I made you your own sign. It's like a full sign, dude.
It says, "Damn it, Bob," if you're not watching.
He better, damn it, Bob. All right. That's one of our phrases here that like Bob makes a comment and it's just like, damn it, Bob. And I do that like without not even on the show. We'll be out like a flea market or at a store, and something happens. I'm like, damn it, Bob.
He blames Bob.
Bob gets blamed for everything. All right.
I love it.
Stevie, would you like to investigate? Oh, who would you like to investigate with and why? Good question.
That's a really good question. I've never considered, actually. Honestly, anyone who would want to investigate with me. I have been on several with my mom growing up. She and I used to be really into doing that. And I've never met an investigator that was big or anything. We've just gone with like local people around, and I honestly couldn't. All the people I've met recently, I would love to. I recently got to go to the Night House. It's owned by Eric Freeman Sims, the host of the Unseen Paranormal podcast. Okay. And I got to do a little mini investigation there at his house with him, and I thought that was so fun. And so honestly, anybody that would want to investigate with me, I would think that would be so much fun.
Yeah, if you ever make it to the Buffalo area, Buffalo, New York, where I am, well, there's plenty of places. There's a place close by that's called the Hinsdale House. It's owned by a friend of mine, Daniel. He, even though I'm definitely a skeptic, and he owns this allegedly haunted house, he lets me come in. I've been there a few times, and we could always jump in on like a public hunt, or I can try to rent it for the night, and then we could go hang out, because
I love it.
It's got a lot of claims. It's got a lot of people that claim it's haunted, and videos and stuff like that we could go in and, investigate and debunk.
That would be so fun. I've been invited a lot recently. I think Fort Mifflin, is that right? Am I saying that right?
Philadelphia.
I was invited to that in October. I'm really hoping I get to go. There's quite a few investigators that'll be there that I've met through my podcast, and I was invited. I was invited to Canada to the Paranormal Symposium hosted by Eric Van Dusen.
Okay.
And Elliot, sorry, I know too many Erics. Elliot Van Dusen, and he invited me to be a guest at the Paranormal Symposium there in October. But unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make Canada this year. But he said I could come next year. So
okay.
I love that I get invited, and I'm hoping. I have a puppy, and he's finally at the stage where he can be left alone for long periods of time. So while my boyfriend's at work, he's good, and now I can go do stuff again. So I'm hoping to get some more travel in.
That's good. Yeah, if you do make Fort Mifflin, Greg O'Brien, he's the one that usually runs all the haunted events and stuff like that. He's a good friend of ours. Really, I've known him for, oh my gosh, we've known him for decades. Really, really nice guy, super nice guy. So you'll enjoy it. It's a fun place to visit.
Awesome.
All right, moving on. Entity 7 Paranormal Joe Vitale. Oh
Hi,
God.
Joe.
You're more than welcome to join Dawn and I at some point and investigate.
I'd love to.
Joe's
I love chatting with Joe. I'd love to.
Yeah, Joe's a good guy. I like him. I like screwing around with him. We go back and forth, make fun of each other, but he's a really good guy. I do like going out. We've only hung out once, and hopefully we're going to do it again, like in a month or two. There's an opportunity that we might be able to get together and investigate a place. So I'm looking forward to that.
Very cool.
All right. We're doing good. Look at that. We're almost at that.
I know, because you keep talking.
I know. Well, there's a lot of questions when we can't upset the people that are asking questions. It's almost September. Is anyone dressing up for Halloween? If so, what are you going to be?
I love this question. I'm almost 40 and I dress up every year.
My goodness. I don't know. We don't.
Not up here.
Not up here. There's not a lot because our neighborhood is not. We live in an area that is not like really a neighborhood. It's more like it's college housing.
Yeah.
And businesses. So it's not. Last Halloween was our first Halloween.
Yeah, there was one college
kid came to the door.
Some candy.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it was like 9:30 at night. It was some random, like it was
the
so
door.
late.
Like, get the fuck out of here. Here's a little mini bottle. Go, get away.
That's great.
That's what we should do. We should do that this year.
Yeah.
Get like a pack of mini bottles.
Sit out in the
just
driveway.
sit out there and just give them out to the college students.
That's great. I love that.
I mean, we've dressed up, but mostly not like really for Halloween per se, but
we usually have parties.
Yeah, we usually have parties, costume parties. And I mean, I've done like big costumes because I love cosplay. I absolutely love cosplay. I've built big, huge costumes, lighted costumes, and all kinds of stuff. So
I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah, sadly though, just there's no events to do it anymore, like where we are. So I don't get to do it much. But I mean, Star Wars Day, I still dress up like a Jedi. Even to work. I come to work in my Jedi war. I am not a dork.
Nerd.
Yes. But I'm adorable. It's okay. All right. What else we got? We'll take one more question and then we will debut your song. I can't wait.
We can do two more.
Kenny, when will the bottle openers be available to UK buyers? So there might be a problem. It's very expensive to ship overseas because I do have some of these like that one. with Never Stop Learning. I have a few of these, and but they're just way expensive. I have to check, but the last I checked, it was like it's going to be like $25 or $30 just to ship something over. So that's a lot. That's a lot
For
of money.
something that little?
For something that I have to. That's why I have to go to a post office.
We'll put it in one of those envelopes tomorrow and go.
I could just sneak it in the CFIs. I'll make work pay for it. It's okay. I'm still working on it, Rob. I'm trying to figure out a way to do it because I would like to make it available. But we'll. For now, it's not going to happen until I figure out a cheaper way to do it.
He just has to figure it out.
Yeah. I'll just have to come visit. I'll just have to go over and just take a whole bunch with me.
Or people are just going to have to pay for shipping.
Why do you think Annabelle is still popular almost 50 years after the first story was told? She's been in a glass case doing nothing for ages now.
I believe it's because of the movies, and also I believe it's because of people passing down the story, because I live down in Tennessee. So I don't have any connection to anybody in Connecticut, but I went to high school with a girl whose family has a connection to the Warrens, and she remembers, or her parents remember growing up and hearing Babe, Ed Warren's sister, tell stories about Annabelle and how scary she was. So I feel like the stories being told by mouth kept it alive, and then the movie really ignited it, especially for younger generations.
Yeah, I agree. I think if the movies didn't come out, it would not be anywhere near as popular.
Right.
It would just be one of those legends that would kind of slowly fade away, and be like, 20 years from now, and be like, oh, what was that doll? I don't know. Which doll was that? But You're right. Between the movies, and then you have events like Zach Baggins going and having to touch it and stuff like that, and making a big deal about it, and it gets in the public awareness again, and it reinvitalizes. Is that the right word? Reinvigorates? Something like that. It's been a while. But yeah, it gets the story going again, and people start talking about it. And again, it comes back to the internet world where
the YouTubers.
Yeah. Like once a story goes viral, it goes viral and everybody hears about it. I mean, look at the Conjuring House. I mean, every time something weird goes wrong with that, like within seconds, we all know it.
Yeah.
And it's weird. Hey, Hair Force One, thank you for the $2. I appreciate that. That's awesome. With a little ghost and the smile. That's awesome. I like the Planet of the Apes icon. Look at that. I like that. I think that's what it is. Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. You want to do one more question, or you want to debut?
Yeah, we can do one more.
One more question, and then we'll debut, and then we'll be back on it for a few more questions. Rababa, Stevie, do you collect old or paranormal stuff? Love all the items in the background. Much love, Kenny, Donna, and Stevie. Oh, thank you.
I would love to, but unfortunately, none of the items I have collected behind me have any stories attached to them. I have this really cool radio right here that I got on Facebook Marketplace, and it feels like it would be one of those items, but nothing's going on around it. But I would happily take haunted items and display them in my collection.
I've done that, and it backfired on me because like people just drop off stuff. If I put up a booth at a conference, usually I walk away with something. People drop it off and say, "Hey, I heard you take this. I don't want it anymore. You deal with it." Okay. Yeah. And it goes on a shelf and it sits there and does nothing for years to come. But I'll still take them because they're interesting. I like the stories. I like the stories behind them. That's it. All right. So with that said, we're going to take a 2-minute break. I think it is. Let me look at it.
A little over 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's a little over. Where is it? Oh, there it is. 2.5 minute break while we debut the song for Donna. And it's a little slideshow with little trinkets thrown in there. So enjoy it. And then we'll come back and we'll finish up some questions because we do have we'll zip. Donna says we're going to zip through the questions because she wants to go home.
I'm ready.
All right. So can you take that comment off there? Because I think it'll stay up there during the video. Okay. So here we go. Hope you guys enjoy this. This is from Cat Mac about Donna. Here we go.
In the skeptical helper her, there's a guiding star, keeping checks in line. She's the queen of the bar, with a wink and a smile. She keeps things flowing. Divine Donna's on the scene to keep you from trolling. Divine Donna, watch her keep the show on track. Moderates with flair, she's got your back. With her love, Kenny Biddle every Friday night. In the skeptical help bar, she's a delight. Start your questions with a capital Q, so Donna can pose them for you. Follow the Swayze rule and be nice, or she'll kick you out for life. Divine Donna, watch her keep the show on track. Moderates with flair, she's got your back. With her love, Kenny Biddle every Friday night. In the skeptical help bar, she's a delight. Rarely says a word, unlike her hubby. Doesn't let the show run into hour 3. She may be quiet, but she reads all the chats. So say hi, or thanks, she deserves that. Divine Donna, watch her keep the show on track. Moderates with flair, she's got your back. With her love, Kenny Biddle every Friday night. In the skeptical help bar, she's a delight. Rarely says a word, unlike her hubby. Doesn't let the show run into hour 3. She may be quiet, but she reads all the chats. So say hi, or thanks, she deserves that. Divine Donna, watch her keep the show on track. Moderates with flair, she's got your back. With her love, Kenny Biddle every Friday night. In the skeptical help bar, she's a delight. In the skeptical help bar, she's a delight.
Oh, that was so much fun.
That was awesome.
You're a delight.
Yeah. I'm a delight.
That's awesome. I love it. Thank you, Cat Mac, for that song. That's awesome. It made her smile. She loved it. She absolutely loved it. And I was rocking out. I really do have to put a camera up.
Yeah, you do.
Because
You
I was
do.
dancing around. I was like, yeah. In the skeptical help bar, she's a delight.
He's gonna
All right.
sing it.
Now I'm going to stop singing because it's bad. All right. Scottish Pride. What's up, buddy? How come only Raggedy Ann got to be possessed and not Andy? I know. Poor Andy.
I know he got left out, and he gets left out still.
Yes. There is nothing. I don't get it. That's sad. I mean, look at him. He's sad.
Give Andy some airtime.
There. Put him in front now. There you go. All right, moving on. Tashi, the Ed Warren claimed to be a demonologist. Has anyone been able to prove that to be true? Well, go ahead. What do
I
you
found
know?
any evidence of it being official. If you were to ask Ed about it when he was alive, his answer always is and was, I was just born to be one.
Yes. Yeah. As far as I know, there is no official accreditation for being a demonologist. It is a self-styled title. It's most every demonologist that you come across has given themselves that title. It's not something that was earned. It's not an academic credential. It is not a certification. It is a
And it's
self-styled.
not like, is not assigned or approved by a church of any kind. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ed just made it up. And I mean, we know from his own stories that he was a ghost hunter in the beginning. Like he called himself a ghost hunter. One of his books is actually called Ghost Hunters. I think that was like 89 that it was published. But it's called Ghost Hunters. And then it wasn't sexy enough, so it went to demonologist because that
Yeah.
sounds better, I guess.
And I think I hear a lot of speculation about the change from ghosts to demons being because of movies and what was popular at the time.
Yeah.
Because you have the Daemon, the Omen, the Demon Child, you have the Exorcist, you have all these, and Ed was apparently a huge fan of movies, and there's even the speculation that he got the Annabelle story from the Twilight Zone.
Yes.
So I think it had a lot to do with the media and what was popular at the time.
Right. That Twilight Zone episode is one of my favorites. I love it. Just because the doll just screws with the father so much.
Yeah.
I love that episode. It's so good. All right, moving on. That's awesome. Hour 3. I love it. Wayne, what's the craziest story you've heard about the Warrens?
Probably the reoccurring insertion of themselves into situations, and then of course the scandals. I was really shocked to hear about Ed's proclivities, supposed proclivities.
Yes. Yeah, his live-in
Girlfriend.
Yeah, that's the nicest way to say it. Yeah, girlfriend. His live-in girlfriend while he was married.
Yeah, and I plan to cover that too. I've got a lot on that. I'm really sad to have discovered she doesn't feel any ill towards him. She does not see herself as a victim.
Okay. Yeah, well, I don't know all the details, so I'm not gonna give an opinion on that. I'd like to talk to her and just have a nice conversation, but that's all I can really say about that. All right.
Yeah, I've tried to, but she sticks to just posting publicly on Facebook. She doesn't talk to anybody.
And that's understandable. She probably just doesn't want to deal with all of us, you know.
It seems like her only goal is to remember and show her memories of it.
Yeah. All right. I mean, that's her choice. So, all right. Excuse me. Patty Troy, are there any hauntings you have researched that you believe could be true?
I'm gonna have to say yes. I wouldn't say a hard yes. I'd say more of a I haven't had enough proof to debunk it. I really think something was going on with the Lindley Street case. With all the testimony and supposed eyewitness stuff, it's kind of hard to ignore that something was going on. I just wish we had more personal information on the family. A few personal things I do know about the mom, Laura Gooden, and her attitude and the way she dealt with Marcia kind of makes me wonder if they were making it up. But then you have people that say they witnessed things. And I'm really on the fence about it, but I believe it could be the true definition of a poltergeist. Like, it's got all the stuff that a poltergeist would have. I don't believe it was demons like Ed said. Ed immediately wanted to exorcise Marcia. I don't think that was the problem. I think, if anything, it was a poltergeist generated by the fact that she was so sheltered by Laura. She was not allowed to do anything. She was 10 years old and she was still walking her to school every day to and from. She was never alone. So, and that would be, that's the only thing that would make me think it was a poltergeist, because it has the recipe for it pretty much exact. And then, of course, I love the Doris Byther case. I really believe something was going on there too. I just wish I had more answers.
Right. I will disagree on that one. I don't know enough about the first one, but I will disagree on the second one, because I have gone into that. And I think most of the problems came from the drug and alcohol abuse from Doris. And
I can definitely get behind that. I just wish I had more testimony from her, like directly from her.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, most of the stuff that we have is secondhand, which is sad. And she passed away. So I don't think we're not going to get any new information, but Abs, thank you for the 5 pounds. Is that what that is? I'm always confused. I see that, but thank you so much. I'm loving these discussions more than investigations. Guys, so much more insight. I might have actually become less of a believer. Yes! Coming over to our side. But you know what? To be fair, like, this is what I love. This is why I do what I do. And this is why I'm excited to have someone like you on the show, because this is a deep dive, and it's saying, hey, you know, like, I do have these beliefs, or I want to believe, but I also want to make sure. I want to be positive, and I got to fact check it. We can't just take people's word for it. And that's something I also preach. Like, don't take my word for anything. Fact check me. You know, feel free to fact check me and let me know if I'm wrong about something. But hopefully, most of the time, you're going to find that, yeah, my information checks out. But that's the big problem in this community. Nobody does that.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. Most people don't do that.
Most believers, they don't want, I feel like some of them don't want to be, they don't want it to be exposed. They don't want it to be disproven. They cling to some of their experiences or stories they know so strongly that it almost hurts them to accept that that it might not be true.
Right. There's the term is cognitive dissonance, where they have these beliefs and they hear conflicting information that is factual, but it conflicts with what they believe so much that they revert back to it's almost like a physical pain. It's not actually, but it's almost that bad, where they revert back to their belief because it's easier and it's comforting. So you
comfortable,
and that's something to get over. I mean, I experienced that. I think we've all experienced that at one time or another. And the trick is to learn how to overcome that and realize, like, okay, I can look at new information and it is true. So I really should accept it. And the more you practice, I think the better it is. So
I agree. Yeah, I believed fully in the Conjuring House haunting until I did the research and until I went there, and I don't believe it at all anymore.
Yeah, I can't believe we missed each other by like a few days.
I know, just a couple days.
Few days. When you put that video up, I'm like, oh, and we started talking, and I think it was only like 3 days difference, something like that. I was like, son of a bitch. That would have been so
wild.
Because you know what? I probably would not have recognized you by face, but if I heard your voice, I'd be like, I know that person. I know. Where do I know that person? I don't know.
I love it.
Do I go up and talk to her? Do I ask her where she's from? I don't know. Is that rude? Is that weird? I am an old guy. That would be weird and creepy. So,
I was actually a tiny bit paranoid that anyone that worked there might recognize me and then be, not as willing to give me a tour.
I was worried about that too, because I am very vocal and I do have like years of videos of me out there. But luckily I was with Carl Johnson. He's the one who invited me out. And so I was with him. So everyone looked at him and focused on him because they knew him. And I was like, this is great. This is great. I'm walking around. Nobody knows what I'm doing. This is great. All right. Moving on. We got Wayne. Do you think Nikola Tesla or Einstein were involved in the Philadelphia experiment? That's if you think it really happened.
Yeah. I can't say to that because I know that there was a lot of things that everybody was up to during times like those that is not common knowledge, is not even available for us to know. So it's very possible if it happened, because they're geniuses and they would have had the need for that kind of brain.
I can say with confidence that the event as described did not happen.
Okay. I've never looked into it. I just know the story.
Yeah, the Eldridge was docked in New York at the time, and I actually have the logs. I have all the logs, what they were doing, repairs and testing. So I have logs for that entire week, and they were nowhere near Philadelphia. There was no experiments like that, and it's funny. Like I have. That story actually comes. I'll be real short because I don't want to get yelled at.
You're on it.
The book where there are annotated notes in it that is the basis of that story. I have a copy of that. We have a copy here in the library. So I was literally sitting on the floor downstairs in the library reading through and looking at all the notes. And it's the gentleman that wrote the notes makes it look like there's 3 people, but it actually is one person. And it's from his own head. It's from his own imagination. It's a cool story, but it doesn't have any basis in fact.
Very cool.
Awesome. All right, moving on. Hey, Paranormal Monkey Podcast. I see you out there. Hair Force One. Oh, I got to say real quick, I loved your comment, Hair Force One, about how Ed was a moneyologist. That I think you were dead on with that, and I totally support that 100%. Question, ghost hunting equipment aside, do you agree that the best way to talk with the dead and spirits is to die? Wow.
That's probably the most foolproof way.
Yeah, I mean, without actually experiencing that, I mean, I can't say firsthand how that will go, but I think that's probably, for me, that's probably your best chance. I don't know about you. What's your?
I would agree. I think about, like, my biggest question about death is, do I get to choose what happens after? Because I would like to choose.
What would you choose?
Haunting. I'll haunt everybody. Like, maybe not even me, but I will visit everybody. I will wreak havoc on people's kitchens. I will do it.
Wow. Okay. I think I have a problem. So like I have a really good imagination. I'm a big nerd, been that way all my life. But the science also takes over. So I would pick haunting too, but like I want an open world haunting. So I want to be able to roam around wherever I want. Yeah. But then the science takes over and says, well, if I'm not held down by gravity, I'm probably just going to float off into space and I'm going to be lost in space for eternity. So that would suck.
And that's terrifying. The amount of questions that revolve around something like that is really terrifying.
Right. So many questions. Okay, we're getting there. We're almost done. Donna's like, come on, hurry up, quick. Jade Kitten, if they had used the real Annabelle in the movies, do you think they'd be forced to market them as comedies? I know you found some or had an idea of why they didn't use the real Raggedy Ann doll.
So there was a lot of speculation on that. It was someone speculated that they didn't the person who created or who owned the trademark for the Annabelle wouldn't approve, but it came down to the fact that James Wan, he has an affinity for creepy dolls, and he took this as an opportunity to hire someone to create a doll specifically for his movie. And I know that there's not a licensing issue because there is an Annabelle or Raggedy Ann doll in the Conjuring movies. She makes a little cameo in one of, I think, the Annabelle movie. But yeah, I don't think it was anything except James Wan just wanted that creepy doll. And the guy he hired, that was his first big movie gig.
Yeah. And I mean, that it makes sense because now you don't have to pay licensing fees if you could get it, if you could license it. But I agree with the first part. Like, this is a child's doll, like you don't want to associate it with evil and demonic stuff because that might potentially hurt sales. But then again, to avoid all that and keep all the licensing fees to yourself and the money, the marketing and stuff, you create your own doll and then you sell that.
And it's selling like crazy.
Brilliant. I mean, I only have, where do I have it? I have a pop figure of that doll.
Me too.
Oh, all right, yeah. That's the only one I have. The rest of them are the actual Raggedy Ann dolls.
Same, and mine was a gift. I didn't buy it.
Because I think I agree with you. I think you made a comment in one of your videos, like, to use the real one would have been creepier.
Yeah,
because I mean, shit. If this thing was just standing there in every scene, like something weird happens and you turn the camera and this is staring at you.
I think that's more creepy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I like unassummed creepy versus expected creepy. Like you look at the Annabelle doll for the movie and she is automatically creepy. She on her own, aside from the film, she is creepy.
Not a pretty doll.
No. I actually saw a Reddit, someone on Reddit claiming that they grew up with the movie doll and it was a collectible. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No.
All right. Next question. Special Ed. What's up, buddy? Stevie. Hi. You interviewed a man who said that the Warrens took him with them on investigations when he was a teenager.
Yes.
Do his claims check out?
Yes, that is Frank Chiafari. And I have become really good friends with him and his wife, Terry. They're amazing people. And they're one of the first encounters I had where I heard good stories about the Warrens. And his claims do check out. He has several photos with the Warrens. I've heard from him and his wife, and then people that know them, the Warrens and the Chiafaris, that can confirm that they were friends. And Frank was about, I think he was 19 or 21. I can't remember what he said, but he ran into Ed, and Ed just kind of took him under his wing, and he took him on investigations. And Frank said, initially Frank said he believed Ed, and then the more he looked into things and the more I talked to him and the more he listened to my stuff, he's starting to be a little more skeptical on it.
Okay.
He still claims he had really great experiences with the Warrens. From what I know about people they were good to, that they weren't exploiting, he was a good guy. Like, he was a good friend. He would do anything for you if he loved you, that kind of thing. And I talked to someone else who said that, another woman from a podcast I was on said that two things can be true at once. He can be this exploitive person, just cares about money, but he can also be, with his friends and family, this genuine, caring, loving guy.
Right. And I hate to bring up the example, but if you look at many serial killers, that's what you get.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
The sociopathy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what you get. So, yeah. All right. On that note, we'll move on. Transparent. That's a cool name. I like that. Could you do a video in the future about the silliness of spirit boxes? I know you did REM pods, but a generic spirit box would be kindly appreciated. Okay. Is that for me or for you?
I'm sure it's for you.
I think it's for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't cover equipment.
I would like to. I think if I can gather a few of them, like I have an SB7. Well, no, I had an SB7, but I broke it because I took it apart too many times. So yeah, if I can get enough people, and again to like donate some of these items, various spirit boxes, then I will gladly do a video with all of them and go through, because I do have a lot of information. I've gone on rants about this. And I would love to be able to just put it down on one video and be able to say, you got a question? Here you go. Here's a link. Go watch this video. If you have more questions, come at me. Because, yeah, I absolutely hate the spirit boxes. Hey, Abs, thank you for the £5. Just another thanks, guys. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, moving on. Almost down. We're down to a few. I can hear Donna's voice getting more tired. We go.
Donna.
It's okay. We're good.
Michael says, off-topic question. Would you use a hand-carved letter opener if I make one and ship it to you? This is to show you a token of my gratitude at Caney Biddle. Yeah. I mean, I get letters here. I mean, that's, yeah, hand-carved. Hell yeah. Because I have, what do I have? Where's my sword? I do have a sword somewhere. There it is. This is what I use now. It's my little samurai sword kind of thing. It's not a samurai sword, but an ancient, little. I don't even know what that is. An eagle? I think it's like an eagle. Looks like an eagle. But I use this now, and it needs work because I don't know if you can see that I chipped the thing. Oh, thanks for the $1 Air Force One. That's awesome. So yeah, I would definitely use it because when I do get letters here, it is cool to be able to be like, shink. And I do that noise every time because I'm such a nerd. I'm like, shink. I mean, you should see the Nerf battles we have here in this office. And I seriously try to do a lightsaber thing where I block all of them. But if you've ever seen Deadpool 2, where he tries to do the sword thing with the bullets and Kane shoots him and all the bullets go through him, that's usually what happens. I get hit with all the darts. I don't block any of them. But yeah, thank you. That's cool. That would be awesome. I would love that. I'm so excited now. Michael, Kenny, what is your favorite place to investigate? I like any place that has a good story. Honestly, because I do private residences once in a while, and that's a topic we can discuss on like next week when we do an open mic night. But I do those, and I enjoy the stories that come from them, and also the gratitude and the relief that I see in families when I can go through claim by claim and explain them and find logical explanations for them and see the relief on their face. I also love the historical places that have like these long, like 50, 100, 200-year histories where there's so many stories and they handpick certain ones that fit, you know, the narrative. But to be able to research them, it's not always about the investigating the ghost part, because I don't do the ghost hunting thing. I don't sit for hours in the dark and talk to the dark and hope that the radio talks back to me. I don't do that part, and I'm trying not to be insulting. I know it came off that way. Yeah, I can hear it in my own voice, like, oh shit. But what my favorite part is researching the people that are involved in the stories, the ones that are getting blamed for being ghosts, and knowing their lives. I step into their lives through the research that I do, through the documentation, through the census records, through newspaper articles, and I get a glimpse of people's lives from 100 years ago, from 200 years ago. And I find that absolutely fascinating, that part, more so than anything else. And a close second is when I do solve the mystery, when I am able to put a good logical cause to the mystery. That it's amazing. So what about you? Do you have a favorite place that you've been?
That I've been? Oh, that's hard. Yes, I do. So in 2011, my mom and I went on a trip to California, and our whole goal was to hit every haunted location we could in as much of California as we could travel in a few days. Cool. And we went to the main places like the Whaley House and the Winchester House. But the night before we did the Winchester House, we actually found a haunted hotel. I had this app at the time that listed things that were known to be haunted, and the hotel was on there. And it's called the Santa Maria Inn, and it's in Santa Clara. And we had never heard of it before, and we looked it up, and online on the forum I was reading, it said you wanted to get these specific rooms, they were known to have activity. So we go in and we ask for the room that is labeled Walter Matthau's room. He was an actor. He was the old man in Dennis the Menace. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that room supposedly has the most activity. So we go into the hotel and we tell the front desk lady we want this room. She tells us it's not available. So because of the forum, luckily, the forum says you have to say you are there for the paranormal activity, because they don't advertise as paranormal. They don't want, it's a kind of a ritzy place, and they don't want their guests to be worried about ghosts. So as soon as we told her we're here for the ghosts, she was like, oh, okay. And she pulls out this paper. It's got this whole list of stuff on it for us to read. And we get a complimentary bottle of champagne, and she sends us up to our room. It was amazing. I loved it. And so we went there. And my mom is more prone to things happening to her than anyone I know. We can do all kinds of stuff, and she's the only one who ever experiences like being touched or anything like that. And I trust my mom. I don't think she would make it up. So I trust that things are happening to her. And we get into the room, and it's really cool. You walk in the front door, or in the door, and you walk into a living space. It's like a living area with couches. And then there's a hallway to your left, and down the hall is the bedroom. And then you go around the corner into the bedroom, and there's a bathroom around that corner. So my mom went straight to the bathroom, and I was reading the guest log where people wrote down their stories in the living room. And I hear her yell my name in like sheer terror. You can tell she's just had the crap scared out of her. And I holler back and I say, I'm in here. And she comes running out of there, and she's freaking out because she thought I was back there with her and had poked her in the back while she was washing her hands. Ooh. And it scared her to death. And then since I didn't experience that, I can't vouch for that or anything. But later that evening, when we were laying in bed, we were giggling and being silly. We'd had a little bit of champagne, not enough to be like drunk, but we were having fun. And we decided we were going to watch cartoons on the TV. So we turned the TV on and turned the cartoons on. And not even a minute in, the TV goes to static. And we can't get anything else to play. So we just turned the TV off.
poltergeist
And-
shit going on now.
And so we're like, is that paranormal or is that just, some kind of weird malfunction? So we're just laying there kind of giggling to ourselves in the dark, and we hear a knock above our heads behind on the wall behind us above the headboard. We are on the second floor, and there is not another room on the other side of us. We are on the end corner of the building.
Okay.
So that was really cool. And then all of a sudden we start hearing plastic crinkling. And it was really loud, and it sounded like plastic, just somebody rolling it in their hands. And so the next morning we go check out, and the front desk lady happened to be the same lady who checked us in. And she's like, did you guys have any experiences? And we mentioned the candy or the plastic crinkling. And she said that is the most commonly reported activity. And it said that Walter Matthau was known for having candy in his pocket all the time and crinkling the wrappers in his pocket.
Wow.
Oh, that's
So that's my
cool.
favorite experience of all time. I don't know if it was really true or if we were being, just kind of amped up for it, but it was fun.
That's cool. That's a cool story. I like that. All right, moving on.
Yeah, there's a few more.
There's a few more. No more questions. No more questions in the chat. We're almost done. We got to get out of here because if not, I'm going to get in trouble. Air Force One. Do either of you think that spirits from hundreds and hundreds of years ago would understand how to interact with the technology they are presented with current ghost hunts?
I wonder that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that. I mean, for the most part, when I see people use like recorders, they usually explain like, "Hey, this is a device. If you just talk, it should be able to pick you up." Even though it won't because there is no sound. Anyway, I mean, there's a lot of science behind why it's not working that way. But then other things, it's just people are like, hey, just come near this device and it'll go off. And then when it does go off, like we don't actually know if it's a ghost or if it's something else because I mean, experiments done by most ghost hunters are not controlled. They're not scientifically controlled and they're not scientifically valid. It's just the nature of the beast. But in relation to this question, I agree. Like some of it goes back to a saying that technology will appear to a less advanced culture as magic. And that's basically it. I mean, the more advanced one culture is and goes to a far less advanced culture, like more of a primitive culture, technology is going to be magical. And we can actually go back, and I won't spend any time on this. I'm getting a look. The cargo cult experience. If you go look up cargo cult, I think syndrome or experience, you'll read all about like how a primitive tribe just thought that Marines that were in the area with all this technology, they viewed them as gods. They thought they were gods because they had all these magical abilities. And it's just interesting. And this question really relates to that because I think if you did have a ghost, devil's advocate here, that was from like 200 years ago, they're not going to know what the hell they're looking at.
Yep.
I mean, even the light, they're going to be looking for a candle. Like, where's the flame inside this? How is this little tiny LED working? I think there would be a problem. So good question, though.
I have a question for you, piggybacking on this question.
Sure.
Do you know about the theory, they made a whole movie about it called The Others, the theory that the ghosts are not experiencing the world as we do, they're experiencing it as they lived it, and we are kind of infiltrating their world. How do you feel about that theory?
So, a couple things. One of my favorite movies. Love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. I have it here. I've watched it on the big screen that we have in the lecture hall a few times now. But the idea of that is that's what it is. It's an idea. And so I have a pet peeve about the use of theory. In science, a theory is something that has been well researched and tested. It is, you have your hypothesis, you go through experiments and research and pass, fail, redo everything, and then it takes years and years to become a theory. Unfortunately, in the paranormal community and general public, they use it. We use it as
yeah, and I automatically used it because that's what I hear. Yeah.
We all do. Because I've done that too. So I understand that. And the idea that ghosts are living their lives and we are more like intruding on their world is pure fantasy. And that's all it can ever be. Because we have no data to support that. We have that's it. There's no data to support that. It is basically just somebody sat down and said, all right, well, I saw this movie. That's probably where it originated.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, like it could be like that. And unfortunately, I see that a lot. Ghostbusters inspired EMF detectors to be our ghost detectors. But movies and television, pop cultures like that influence a lot of what we quote unquote know. And I will see a lot of people recite stories and information they got literally from TV shows that were made up because they think it's true. And again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier and how you brought it up. Like nobody fact checks. So when you go to the origins of this stuff, you find out it was from a movie. Stone Tape Theory, also another movie I suggest everyone watch because it's amazing and you will mind blown about how much it relates to what people think today. So definitely go check that out. All right. Next question. Told you hour 3. We're going to complete it. Nat going bananas. What's up, Nat? Good to see you. Stevie, did you check out the Queen Mary during that Cali trip? I love that ship so much.
I unfortunately did not. I don't even know why that didn't come up for us, but I don't even remember us talking about it. I honestly would love to go. I've heard there's a few podcasts I listen to that have gone and they've talked about how much fun they had, and I would really love to check it out. I don't know. I've heard a lot of skepticism on it, so I don't know how I feel about its hauntings, but I would still really love to experience it.
I would too. I would love to visit and just go through it. I am one of those people with a lot of skepticism about the stories and stuff like that, but I would still love to visit. And that's true across. Like like I said, I'm a big nerd. I love movies, and I will go to movie locations whenever I have the opportunity. And the same with paranormal. Any place that's reported to be haunted, I will go to just because it has the reputation. It'd be fun. All right, going through. Oh, we're down. Well, we got 2 more, maybe. That's awesome. Scottish Pride. Is that an iris tattooed on your neck?
Okay, so I'll see if I can get closer. It's actually a mandala.
Ooh.
And it's faded a little bit. We're going to have to touch it up. But in the center here, I have the symbol. It's the chakra symbol for the throat chakra.
Okay. Interesting. Cool. You have a lot of things.
Yeah, I have a lot of interests, so they're all tattooed on me.
There you go.
That's good. That's the way I mean, each to their own. But like for me, any of my tattoos they have meaning to me. Every one of them have some kind of meaning. And I think that's important. I mean, personally, and again, everyone has their own thing. You do you. But I find it weird when people are like, oh yeah, I just got a skull. And like, oh, wow, do you like collect skulls and stuff like that? Nah, it just looked cool. It was in the book. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yep.
Oh, were you drunk when you got that? Like, what happened there?
Yeah. When I used to work in the shop and every time someone would come in and pick something right out of the book, it was more of a need to be tattooed versus caring what you got.
Right. Yeah. Every one of mine has some kind of meaning to my life. So very cool. All right. Last question. Is the last question?
Here's a quick one.
Quick one. Hair first one. Stevie, Sasquatch, yes or no?
I would have said yes before I became a researcher of paranormal things, but now I have to say no. I have learned too much, and as badly as I would love for it to be a thing, I just feel like with all the time that's passed and all the so-called sightings and everything, it's falling short for me. And as much as I'd love to, I don't currently believe in Sasquatch. And I live in Middle Tennessee, really close to the Appalachian Mountains and stuff, and I hear stories all the time. Even the Warrens came down here to look for Bigfoot. Like, I'm going to cover that eventually too. They did a very small thing where when Lorraine tried to talk to Bigfoot psychically, and I just. Yeah. I used to go to the Bigfoot Museum in Georgia. That was really fun.
We did. So we're going in like 2 weeks or something like that. I think we're going to Pennsylvania Bigfoot camping weekend. So it's
cool.
a whole 2 days of Steve, I've got some things I can show you that may change your mind.
I would love to see it, honestly. Yeah.
I want to see it. What the hell?
I would love for Bigfoot to be real. Ever since I was a little kid, anytime we went camping or into the woods for any reason, I would look for Bigfoot.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's cool. I grew up with that, and I would love it to be true, but everything that I've come up with all points to no. It does not exist. But we'll see. We'll be there in 2 weeks looking for Bigfoot. We're looking for Daryl. That's what I'm looking for. I'm going to be walking through the woods going, Daryl!
I think I have a cousin that believes in Bigfoot. I think he had an experience. I'm going to have to ask him about it.
Yeah. Listen to his story. Yeah, see what he has to say. All right, one more question. Last question. Question. Kenny, have you been doing your research on the Ouija board ahead of the next 3 Tortured Souls podcast? Thanks, Rababa. So, yeah, we do. I also co-host another show once a month called 3 Tortured Souls. And we have a very bad habit of not researching the topic that we're going to talk about. So basically, we take one topic for each show and we give 3 different perspectives. And we used to do it weekly. And we wouldn't do anything until the day of. Like that morning I got up, it's like, oh shit, I got to do a show tonight. All right, when we research it, and we usually did a good job. And then our schedules got busy and we went to once a month. And we still, even with a month notice, we still wait till like the day of to start researching it. But luckily, in my case, I already have a large file in my file cabinet on Ouija boards, some of the history and stuff like that. So I have plenty to read through. I can actually go through it in a couple hours. I'll be able to go through it. But that'll be coming up the first Wednesday in September?
Yeah.
Right? Is that the next month?
Yeah, September already.
That'll be September 4th. That'll be good. That'll be right before we leave.
I want to tune in for that.
Yeah, it should be interesting.
I did a Halloween special last year on the history of the planchette. I decided to skip the Ouija board and just talk about the planchette because it kind of birthed the Ouija board. Yeah.
I mean, when you kind of like the automatic writing kind of thing that evolved into it. So yeah, that's cool. I'll have to check that. So that's up. You have that up?
Yeah, it's on the podcast. So it's not on the YouTube channel yet.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I was messing with my podcast. I forget what it is in my car, and it was not behaving. It wasn't letting me do what I wanted to do because I was trying to subscribe to your channel on there, and it was just coming up with episodes, and it wouldn't let me actually go to the channel. Spotify. That's what I was using.
Spotify's been being weird lately. I've been playing episodes, and it'll play just the ad and then stop.
Yeah, it's one. It would bring up one episode and nothing else. It wouldn't let me go to just your page or subscribe to you. So I'll figure it out. Don't worry, because I want to listen to that now because that might help me out for the next show.
It was really fun. I enjoyed it.
All right,
I'll send you a link for it. I'll send you a link for it.
All right, cool. And that was it. Let's see. Oh, there you go. Yeah, I saw somebody asked for my email. So there it is, scrolling across the bottom. You can check it out. All right, we are done. We have all our questions. We're done. We're 43 minutes over. She's got a big smile. She's like, yeah, I know.
Thank you, Donna.
Okay, no problem.
It was such a fun show. So interesting. Thank you so much for coming on, for agreeing to come on.
Thank you for having me. I had a blast.
Good. I mean,
that's awesome.
You had a lot of information, and like I said, I really enjoyed the work that you do. I am a stickler for details. Reacher. If you ever watched the show Reacher, I mean, I love his slogan, like in investigation, details matter. And you get all the details and you track down the details. So I think that's awesome. And I encourage everyone that's watching this show, whether you're watching now or if you're watching the replay, go check out her channel. Listen to the podcast, watch the videos, send her questions, send her topics, just enjoy it because it's good work. It's what everyone should be doing.
And what's that podcast called?
Truth or Demons podcast. I think, is it the whole name? Like everywhere I see it, it's called Truth or Demons podcast, not just Truth or Demons, because weird shit came up when I did that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, do that. Check it out and give her feedback. Let her know how she's doing.
Yeah, feel free to reach out. I love answering questions and sharing my research.
Awesome. So you hang out for a couple minutes if you can, if you don't have to run. I'm going to play our outro video, and then we will see everyone else. We'll see you next week. We're going to do an open mic night next week, which means it's just me and Donna, and we will answer questions. We'll bullshit. We'll tell stories. Maybe we'll go on a rant or two. I don't know. We'll see. We don't know what's going to happen during open mic night.
No,
anything that happened. Anything.
What do you have coming up?
What do I have coming up? Oh, Donna's keeping me on track now. So, all right. So September 6th and 7th, we will be in Pennsylvania, somewhere in Pennsylvania, southwestern Pennsylvania. It's called Benner's Run.
Yes.
Benner's Run Campground for the Pennsylvania Bigfoot camping
or something
weekend. I forget.
Yeah,
I don't think I have the address. I don't have it on my calendar. I really need to get that, but I'll be posting links about it. So I'll be a speaker there. I'll be the token skeptic at the Bigfoot conference. So that should be fun. Well, hopefully, nobody gets too mad. I'm not going to do like debunking stuff. I'm going to just talk about investigating mysteries in general. So it should be okay. With that, that's my September. In October, we will be in Las Vegas, Nevada for SciCon, which is our big science conference out there. That's October 24th, 27th. If you're coming out, I encourage people to come out. If you like science, come out, because our two keynote speakers, Neil deGrasse Tyson and Brian Cox, which are two superstars of physics. Just awesome. And we have a whole lineup of speakers. I'm doing a workshop for a 2-hour workshop with Richard Saunders from the Skeptic Zone podcast. He's my Australian counterpart. So he's the chief investigator for the Skeptic organization in Australia. So come on out, check it out. November 1st and 2nd, right? 1st and 2nd? 2nd and 3rd, Saturday and Sunday, is Para-Unity in Woodbridge, New Jersey. It is a paranormal conference that we'll be setting up with. Donna will be setting up a crafting booth, and I'll be setting up my skeptic booth. So you can come out, ask questions, try out some of the gadgets that I have, which are not EMF detectors and bullshit things like REM pods. It's actually like testers for dowsing rods and pendulums and Ouija boards. It actually tests their ability. So come on out and see us. And that's it for now.
That's good.
That's good. That's enough.
Good.
Donna said that's enough. So everyone, have a great week. Enjoy your time. Have a great morning, afternoon, morning. I said morning, evening, wherever you are. And we will see you next week when we do open mic night. All right. So I'm trying to stall while I look for the video. All right, there it is. Never stop learning. See you next week.
Bye, guys.
Hey, diddle diddle, here's a little riddle. Who's the best debunker? Is it Kenny Biddle? Oh, he's good, not just a little. Not at the bottom or even the middle. Strike a chord like a fiddle. Tasting the rainbow like a Skittle. That's fragile and brittle. You can watch him take a problem and start to riddle the problem away. He does not play. He takes his job so seriously. He loves a challenge and won't turn you away. It's such a skeptic, he keeps stones. Believers exposing the fake. It wouldn't take him long to find a needle in hay. Use a magnet, damn it. Now take a drink of Kenny's specialty. Someone may say that's not for me. To each their own, what will be. Man, Kenny's such a skeptic, drinking skeptical tea. Like and subscribe, everybody turn notifications on. And go watch his show and forget about this song. Mr. Wizard or Bill Nye the Science Guy, can you remember?
You'll like any better, so head to the Skeptical Health Bar and meet the bartender. Pick up a drink and relax, cause nobody does this better. Not even close, not even a little. He's the one and only